Hello and welcome to episode 105 of Masters of the Forge. Adam here. With me I have Jason.
Hey everyone.
And Timbo.
Oh, hey.
Hey. So I figured, you know what's going to be really awesome? Why don't I put my mixing board on my desk and have the cord run behind my desk where there is a baseboard heater. And every year, I can turn the heater on and turn the heater off when it gets super cold out. And so that the cord can be first like 120 degrees and then moments later be close to freezing. I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
You did not tell me this, Adam.
Yes, this is exactly what happened to... Wow, I'm spiking real bad. Yes, this is exactly what happened to the cord of my board. And the board is AC 10. 10 volt.
Uh-huh.
And nobody sells a 10 volt. And worse of all, everybody who sells quote-unquote universal adapters actually has a 10-volt setting. So, for this reason, this will be the condenser mic episode. It's just gonna be a whole bunch of condenser mics, and it's gonna sound worse than... I'm pretty sure that the Hawkins... The Town of Hawkins AV Club could do a much better job than we're going to be doing in this episode. And it has absolutely nothing to do with Jason's ability to edit and do well. It has to do with my... It's just the worst. So John Batch...
We're going to hear everything.
John is going to let me borrow his thing so I can, I'm sure that sounds horrible in everyone's ears. So, okay. So... again, we also figured if we're going to talk about... So, you don't get this anywhere else, folks. Let's keep this clear. You get this nowhere else. We're going to have an episode about playing narrative Tyranids. Why don't we have someone on who literally knows how they think? Literally went to school to learn how Tyranids think.
That's a hell of an intro. Yeah. Majored in Tyranid studies.
Tyranid studies! Yes!
That's what I call it. No, in real life, sadly, it's not that cool. I am an entomologist, and I specialize in social insects, which are kind of the real-life inspiration for Tyranids. So there's so much interesting science that you can kind of draw out and use to make them more flavorful and kind of get past that blank, faceless bad guy thing that a lot of GW writing kind of puts on them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, this episode is gonna be awesome. And we don't record our intro after the segment like other podcasts do, because that would be super smart. So when I say this is gonna be a great episode, it's only through the force of hope. So there's no prognostication going on over here.
That's how orcs work. You just gotta believe.
Yeah, I believe.
That's right. If you put enough stuff together and believe, it'll work.
So this is exactly what we did. We got the best bits here on this episode. So why don't we start with some hobby progress and whatever. You've already heard my adventures. I spent all day Saturday looking for a 10-volt adapter. And I even went to Guitar Center today, and they said... Yeah, we'll still have to charge you shipping because we have to order it directly from Alessis, and it's a $22 part with $10 shipping, $30 for a plug to go in my $80 mixer. Yep. Nope. Nature will find a way. So there's that. I got some more cultists from Jordan, so I have almost 40 cultists. I traded for some Sisters of Silence. So I'm kind of wish I hadn't found them, because I could have spent $80 and had a more of a mixed force, but also not spending $80 is also super awesome. So I'm gonna stick with that. I did all the metallics, flesh, and washes on my Noise Marines, and I've started on the patchwork base coats, and that is going to take so long. It's gonna take so long. So it's like 5 or 6 different colors, and I busted out the wet palette because it's the only way to do it. You can't have 5 pots open at once, and I can't do them one color at a time, because remember, when you're thinking I'm painting 45, 47 something models at once, so when you're batch painting like that, every time you pick up the model and look at it could be hours wasted in the long run. So it's better to do all 5 colors at once in this particular case, and then I'll do all 5 highlights at once in the next pass. But I have to stop working on those. I have a Boys GT coming up after this releases a week. So, and it's like a week. We recorded late this week, so super late. So, I only have a week and a half to build and paint my display board for my Imperial Knights, and both my and Wendy's Blood Bowl teams. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be a real good week. So I have been playing a lot of games with my Knights. It's been a lot of fun. Like they are, as 8th edition has promised, not the best. I do not feel bad about playing with my Imperial Knights anymore at all.
Yeah.
In no way, shape, or form. It's been really good. I mean, I've won games, of course, because I'm not awful, but at the same time, like it's a pretty balanced army, and it's a lot of fun, and I feel like I can worry less about the balance of them and start actually like making narratives and stuff with them. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll probably, on the way, because Wendy's probably going to drive, I'll try to work on the narrative a little bit more and see what kind of story I want to tell when I'm at the tournament. I'll probably just wing it based on what my opponents are, and if I get any opponents that just doesn't make any sense, I'll just ignore those missions for the purposes of. I mean, I'm fighting Blood Angels. Like, there's no way I would be killing Blood Angels, so I'll just ignore those.
Yeah, they're not really Blood Angels. There you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Narrative saved.
I mean, the great thing about Orcs is I take them to a tournament, every game is narratively fine. Even if I play against other Orcs, like, oh yeah, I'm fighting other Orcs. Yeah, perfect. This makes total sense to me.
It literally does not matter. They will find a reason.
Orcs are
the day that ends with a Y.
Yeah, Orcs are the classic Orc matchup. it's legitimately what it is. So
damn Orcs.
Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. And you know what? I think I want to talk a lot about right now about how great the only war cards are. Now, no, I'm just messing with Jason. I was steal his thunder. Jason, what have you been up to?
Okay, this, like we said, we're recording kind of late because
it's been
I had to go.
3 weeks since you talked to me. Listen to the podcast and decided.
It's kind of weird. I haven't talked to you like in 3 weeks, and that's the longest I haven't talked to you since I've met you.
Yeah, stupid multi-mix, stupid thermodynamics.
Yeah, it's been weird. I'm like, I've been wanting to harass you about things. It's like, I just gotta text him. Here, have some horrible puns. Yeah. So anyway, so it's been 3 weeks, and I decided that I'm going to start doing some things I'm calling slow grow armies. So, Mantis Warriors.
Phrasing. Phrasing.
I'm pretty sure it's still a thing.
Phrasing.
Well, no, I'm not going to go any farther because some of my students may have found this podcast. So I'm gonna behave. Oh, yeah. I told you they don't have things like boundaries.
Oh, so some of your students for the first time are going to listen to your podcast, and it's going to sound like balls because we have condensed.
Yeah, that's rad, dude.
Yeah,
that's so good. They're going to be like, you need to take away his doctor license.
Oh, they're all going to say, you really should have gone through and put filters on everyone. I'm like, yeah, I know. Leave me alone. All right. So, here we go. Mantis Warriors. I decided to start that crew. I think I talked about last time, but I got the decals from Fallout Hobbies Chapter Customizer, and those things are really nice. They're really well done. If you're doing bad ab stuff, they've got all the decals there. Or if you want to call them decals or water slide transfers, I don't care.
I think to be safe, water slide transfers is the answer.
Yeah, I do care if people call them decals. That's personally offensive.
Uh-oh.
It sounds like the kind of like STD a leprechaun would contract.
Yeah, that or like weird fried food from a state fair. Like, gotta get the decals.
Oh yeah, it is, and it's going to give you diabetes, but you don't care.
All right. For our Canadian listeners and for our English listeners, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sorry. They're the ones having unprotected intercourse with leprechauns.
Yes, that's true. You heard it here, folks.
They freaking bring it on themselves.
So this is what happens when Adam and I don't talk to each other for 3 weeks. I'll remember that. Okay. All right, let's see. We're going to get this train back on the tracks, even if there's a wall on the other side. Okay. So I'm going to be using a lot of conversion bits for this army just because I want them to, stand out from my Raven Guard and from the Blood Ravens. And I've got a Venerable Dread painted. I've got an Imperial Space Marine built, but I haven't painted it. All right. So anyways, I'm waiting for Anvil Industries to restock a bunch of stuff. So we'll get that taken care of. Orcs. Well, that's going to be a lovely waveform.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. All right, so Orcs. So I don't know if you remember, I built 3 Orcs for Gorka Morka before I moved, and I had some more bikes. I'm like, hey, I want to build these bikes. And I looked at my old stuff because I was like, I don't want these guys to be stock out of the kit, and I don't want them to look like each other. And then I realized that I built them for Gorka Morka. And so there was so many bits all over it that it didn't even look like the bike was supposed to look like. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Nice. I'm excited.
I'm also have a war boss on a bike on the way. So I'll actually have a real Orcs. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Be happy about that. Let's see. All right, last thing I built. The last of the armies I'm working on. Nids.
Yeah.
So I've actually got something for everyone today. So I found a box of gargoyles basically on fire sale, and a hive tyrant that was a lot lower than 50% off.
Nice.
So they said, hey, and I was like, well, I've got some cash, so I went ahead and picked them up because probably a good idea. But I built the gargoyles. Those are fun. I don't have any cicada wings like you have.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find now. It's November.
Yeah, and that's always going to be the pinnacle of gargoyles for me, is your...
Nice.
Are your gargoyles? Sorry, that's just how it's going to be for everyone else.
Sorry, y'all.
Everyone else has to deal with it. The Hive Tyrant, I'm still trying to figure out how I want to build it. I'd like to keep it for Zone Mortalis, so that means probably no wings, but I don't know. I need to kind of check the sides of the base because it may not be usable anyway.
No, he is. He's 60 millimeter.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jason, you do live in the South now, right? Like, so maybe Tim can give you a short lesson on using actual Tyranid body parts for your models.
Yeah, that'll actually be I'll do a tutorial on that on how to kill and preserve insects for Warhammer conversions. It's gonna be good.
Well, we have a lot of water bugs, or also known as cockroaches, like everywhere. So I've actually painted my hide fleet in those colors. Every time I open the box where they're located, I get kind of skeezed out. I'm expecting one of them to jump out, and it doesn't help that I kind of did a gloss coat on them, and so they actually look a little, alive. So that's kind of creepy. So I also got a game in this past week.
Woo woo!
Da, da, da.
Yay!
Yeah. Played against one of our locals, Jerry. It was a narrative game. I did not know he was a narrative player until, I showed up and he started talking about how to do things. I was like, oh, I think I found the person I'm looking for.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. How did you meet him?
We have a local. What is it? We have a local Facebook group called RGV Wargamers Incorporated.
Oh, okay.
And I have no idea why Incorporated is on there. Don't ask. I don't know. But there's a lot of 40K players down here that quit at the beginning of 6th edition.
Mm-hmm.
That did not like D-weapons, did not like all the shenanigans that were going on in 7th edition. And I think he's one of the guys who just said, I'm going to take a break for a while and just keep painting. And so he's got a custom chapter. I'm not sure exactly who their successor chapter for, but they're red, so they go faster.
Oh, well, clearly.
Yeah, obviously. But anyways, the game we played, we used the only war cards. And I'm going to be really honest. I liked the idea of the only war cards before I used them. Now that I've used them, I think that's just what I'm going to do. Forget book missions. I like this whole idea of every mission's different. You have the ruse card, you have the twist card. There's the sudden death card, and those are really cool things that should be. I cannot. What's what I'm looking for? I cannot recommend them enough. Right. I'm really happy. What we got.
Yeah.
But my list there. I was talking to him. It's like, hey, he's going to bring infantry. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll bring infantry also. It's like, well, why don't you? And I'll bring an infantry list, and then I'll bring an armored list if someone else wants to play. And they mentioned, like, well, why don't you bring the armored list? I'd like to see how I go up against armor. And so, jokingly, I said, well, hey, man, I've got an Imperial Knight. Do you want to go against that? And he's like, yeah. Like, oh, okay. So I used that. Let me see, which was nice because I got to use the Woundwang markers.
Yeah, Woundwang.
So, yeah. For those of you who don't know, ours is slightly pink.
Because reasons.
Because reasons. And everybody came by and was like, "Oh, those are cool," and they start laughing at what they look like. I'm like, yeah, Monk's kind of a fun guy. I'm gonna have to order more.
He's a fun guy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness, that's one of the best. If I moved to London, I would be like, okay, how close am I to the Hackney area tabletop enthusiasts? Because that's where I have to live. I don't care how stabby it is there. I'm going to live there.
Worth it.
Yeah,
yep,
hashtag worth it.
The soccer hooligans every night in the street, but my God, the war games.
Yeah. All you have to do is to be safe is drive a red moped and yell "wah" as you drive down the street.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
You'll be safe.
I believe that. And you can find Forge World in trash bins.
Yes, right. The streets are paved with resin.
That's right. That's why they're always buckling. Oh.
Bow, bow, bow.
Oh, I went there. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you the list I took. So I took the Imperial Knight, my Death Watch Assassins, and my Inquisitor Space Santa. He showed up also.
Yeah, Inquisitor Space Santa!
Because, if I'm going ridiculous, we're going all the way. It's going to be turned to 11 on this gig. So, anyways, yeah, that was my 3 weeks. Hopefully, I'll be getting more games in. I'm gonna build some stuff this next week and hopefully paint some more. Yay!
Sweet. Now, Tim, you have one of the prettiest Tyranid armies I've ever seen, and yes, it is due in no small part to the fact that your gargoyles are they're what are they? They're the troops, but you put cicada wings on them.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're the real gargoyle models.
Oh, they are gargoyles. Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't use the wings, and what's weird is for some reason on eBay the wings go for almost as much as the whole gargoyle kit. So I basically have unlimited free gargoyles. I just need the time to do it. So it's it's a blessing and a curse. But I've been making some more because the new some of the new stuff coming in the Codex is making me salivate for the idea of 90 gargoyles on the table with exploding guts or whatever.
No balls, you won't do it.
It's happening.
Nice.
You can't stop me. It's gonna be so horrifying and so great, and people. It's a real psychological weapon because not a lot of people want to touch dead insects, and they will not want them near their troops. It's good.
I have a question. Am I the only person who wasn't bothered by that when we played? We played that those team games a few years back. Yeah, and I was like, "This is so cool," and everyone else just kind of looked at them like, "That's disgusting." I was like, "No, man, this is awesome."
It's like 80% people are freaked out, and 20% people think it's amazing. And even the people that are freaked out think it's cool. They just don't want to be near them. So it's fine with me.
Okay, this is the one we got to get for Timbo. We have to get him one of these, the Midas Fly. Look at the wings on that. Well, you could put those on a larger monstrous creature, maybe. I don't know. The Queen Alexandria's Birdwing. Ooh.
Yeah, Midas Flies are literally horrifying. What you need are some Dobson Fly wings. They're pretty fragile, but if you mount them on plastic, they're 4 inches long. They're awesome.
Ooh, okay, cool. And it looks like this Goliath beetle probably has big wings.
Yeah, but I'd feel bad taking them apart because, they're kind of hard to find.
Oh, okay.
Well, here anyway.
Right. Well, there's always the internet.
That's true. You could buy them online just to use them for parts. They last forever because it's basically like a skeleton. You don't really need to do anything to it.
Yeah, but yeah, that fly, that Midas Fly, is freaking terrifying.
Oh, it's nightmare fuel.
But it has the wings have a reddish tinge to them, and that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they're really pretty actually. But the reason that I think that they're horrifying is because that family of fly just freaks me out. There's a bunch of I don't know, something wrong with them. They have a weird body shape.
Yeah, no, they do, and their heads are wide. It's almost like it looks like an ant's head more than a fly's head.
Yeah.
Really weird. Okay, so Tim, all right. So I take it you must really be excited for the new Tyranid Codex coming out.
Oh man, I am ridiculously pumped. I haven't really touched my Tyranids hobby-wise in forever because they're all painted. But in honor of the new Codex, I dug through a box of my old stuff, and I found that I had about a dozen Starship Troopers warrior bug models. So I ripped them apart, I put them on 60mm bases, and I built them up to be as tall as Carnifexes so I can run 12 Screamer Killer Carnifexes the minute the Codex drops. That's going to be fun. And all my other hobby progress has been on other stuff, mostly Age of Sigmar, so I won't talk about it.
That's cool. Yeah, I flirted with the idea of doing Age of Sigmar at Du Bois, but it would be a situation where it would not be fair for my opponent if I just didn't know what I was doing. So I'm just going to bring my Imperial Knights and have super quick games, which is going to be unfortunate this year because I can't drink. So I don't know. I guess I'll just have to get in the pool. Yeah. So there's
And a hammock time.
Yeah, hammock time, banana hammock time. That sounds like a great idea. So
That's the only way to play.
one. Before we get into the main topic, I was like trying to get a lady on the show. Actually, I guess it's fine having an actual Tyranid expert on who's has a degree in Tyranids. But,
happy to be your second choice.
But the interesting thing is I've noticed that Tyranids are very popular with the ladies.
That's totally true.
It's super true, and I'm like, why is that? And I was, I threw the feelers out there today to see if I could get some kind of quorum on why, and like the fact that I had to ask the question is like proof of my male privilege or whatever, because the reasons they came back were that they're fierce, gnarly, and cute. So
yes.
That's the reason anybody would have to collect Tyranids. So I guess I'm the
That's the reason I like them too. Absolutely.
So okay, so that settles that right there. But yeah, Tyranids are freaking cool. I've always wanted to do Tyranid army. I just don't, it's just a matter of how much time does one have for 11d7 armies. But apparently Jason has all the time for 11d7 armies because he's starting an army.
Okay. Hold on. Remember, I built that Tyranid starting box earlier this year.
That's a good point.
And I speed painted it, and it was just for fun. And then these two things came up. I was like, hey, that codex is dropping. Let's try this out. Plus, hey, if I'm going to start doing narrative games, I can start throwing in, hey, we're going to use these only war cards, and we're going to reenact aliens.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
So this is the stage that we refer to as bargaining.
Oh, really?
Yes. You should look it up.
It's not a whole army. It's not a whole army. It's just a starter box and 2 kits. They were really cheap.
Yeah, it lets me do this thing. I can do this thing with it, so that makes it okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's just for the scenarios, really.
It's all right.
2 weeks later, you're going to be swimming in gaunts.
No, I'm not. Oh, no.
He'll be under his house collecting bugs, collecting like cockroaches in a shoebox.
Hey, my cat's been catching them for me.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
My cats are helping my hobby habit, which is terrifying at the same time. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so why don't we take a break? We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about narrative Tyranids.
Sounds good.
Hey, mofos. Are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scarredcast, Skared on YouTube.
Hello, everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40k background.
The NGC 40k podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40k to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
Greetings, mofos!
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det er ikke ei bikkje, det er en slags ting. Den imiterer ei bikkje, men det er ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said.
Welcome back, everyone, and I have a beverage. Timbo, do you have a beverage?
I have a beverage.
Jason, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Are your genitalia chilly?
Who are you talking to?
Well, you said you got a air conditioner in your office now.
Oh, yeah. So the main air conditioner in my house, exploded. Well, it didn't explode. It just died. It just quit working. And then the AC guy came out, and the landlord said, just fill it full of Freon. The AC guy said, that air conditioner unit's pretty old, dude. I think it's 20-something years old. Nah, try it that way. Didn't work. And they replaced it. Turns out the AC was about 40-something years old.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So my office is now cool. It's not. It's no longer the boiler room, Masters of the Forge. Hey Carl, we stole that from you. It'll be good.
Yeah,
So now it's better.
I should have said ovipositor.
Yeah, that could have. That would have been on theme, but we'll have to let it slide.
What a freaking waste! You know what? Let's shut this down. Shut it all down. So Timbo, give us an idea. So what were your kind of what kind of things do you find, I guess, antithetical to actual instinctive behavior that Games Workshop, not being professionals, has trouble with in the lore?
So, Games Workshop not being professionals about biology is really evident in how they write Tyranids, which I'm not ragging on them because they're creative types. It's
right. Not everybody can be a scientist, right?
That's very true. But so the main thing that I think that they get wrong about Tyranids is their concept of the hive mind as this kind of they describe the hive mind almost as a single intelligence that sort of just controls everything around it. Mm-hmm. And the thing about hive minds is, in science, we call them a swarm intelligence, and that really does exist. It's a real thing that insect colonies have. And it isn't based on any particular will of that insect. There isn't the queen doesn't give orders in a beehive, but every individual in that hive makes small decisions constantly that are directed by evolution and by communication with its nestmates to lead toward the most efficient solution to a problem. So the ants don't need to have a leader ant tell them to make a bridge over water. They'll just figure it out eventually by constantly communicating with each other and just doing what is instinctive to them. So when I envision Tyranids moving onto a planet or taking over the planet, no one's issuing those orders. The hive mind isn't just some gestalt intelligence in space saying go to that mountain. They're constantly telekinetically or telepathically communicating with each other, making split decisions, and doing the most efficient and sort of logically cold way to take out the prey, which in this case is the whole planet.
Okay, so even in the instance of Hive Fleet Leviathan, I think it's Leviathan, where they struck from the side. Or from the galactic southeast, whatever. They struck from that direction, didn't really work out for them, so they're trying it from another direction. That's just that's just something that insects do naturally anyways. If they can't get at a problem one way, they'll radically change their approach just by their very nature.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That'll happen. And, you can watch it happen with, like, a group of ants trying to take out a larger prey item that they can't kill on their own. They'll exhaust options before eventually settling on the one that works, and then every ant that comes to it after that will use the method that works, because they're constantly communicating with each other, and they're not going to waste time trying all the wrong things over again.
Okay. That's really cool. I'm constantly impressed at how complex and simple nature is. Like you try to ascribe all these complex notions to the nature of animals, and or whatever, and only to find out that like it's a lot of very simple gestures and simple interactions with their surroundings that just result in the perfect solution.
Yeah, pretty much thousands and thousands of tiny, simple decisions leading to a really complicated one. And you can imagine in a sci-fi setting, which Warhammer 40k is, you can take that to an insane, level.
So I guess you've come up with some really cool ways that the listeners could help their narrative along. We basically phoned it in for this one there, Timbo, and
That's awesome. Nice.
So why don't we talk about your first point here?
Where am I at here? Okay, so this was a really important one. And to their credit, GW actually does this for some of their creatures. But if you're making your own hive fleet, or if you're even making a splinter fleet, whatever, you should name all of your synapse or monstrous creatures, because Tyranids don't name themselves. They don't really have need for that because everything's done telepathically. But if you have a huge monster that shows up, planet after planet, or even continent after continent, like laying waste to armies or whatever, humans and other intelligent organisms are likely to give that thing a name because it's inspiring so much fear in them. And Old One Eye and the Red Terror are examples of this. But in my in my hive fleet, everything's named after a monster from mythology, or a goddess from mythology, something that's like inspirational of terror and awe. And once you've kind of got that little tiny bit of a character going, like it's got a name. Okay, it's named after this monster from myth. Why? What did that monster do? And maybe the creature that you've given that name to prefers to attack in a certain way. It likes to attack at night, or it likes to go after targets that are armored or whatever, And it's not quite a character yet, but it's building something to that.
Yeah, this stuff writes itself, right? Like one simple decision, one simple narrative decision fuels the next. You get a pattern of behavior, and this is true not just for creatures but for people too. Like if you can establish a pattern of behavior in your narrative for a character, then that'll help you tell their story. So if you want to figure out what they would do in a certain situation, then you can relate, refer back to that previous behavior, those predilections, or you can have a special occasion where the character goes against that behavior, but it has usually you want it to be for a good reason. So in both situations, it's good storytelling, so long as especially in the case of breaking nature, that it's a special event and it's something that's a mark in time.
Right. And you got to remember, the synapse creatures in the Tyranid fluff, they're not stupid and they're not drones. They're intelligent, and it's not beyond the realm of possibility to think that they develop personalities while they're out fighting and dying in these battles. And in any case, it's not crazy to think that this particular Hive Tyrant, has developed a taste for something that others haven't.
Awesome. So there's also the next point you made was I think it's something that a lot of us, especially as, I hate to say geeks or nerds or whatever, it's nice
Yes.
nice to put thought into your army.
Oh, that's of course obvious. That's definitely true. And with Tyranids, when it comes to Tyranids, you can kind of make them look however you want. They can be any color. They can have all sorts of weird mutations that other Hive fleets don't have, and you can really pamper them. And Adam, you mentioned before that my gargoyles have insect wings. Really, everything in the army with wings, they at least are designed to look like insect wings, and that's because I like how they look. But in my Hive fleet backstory, I determined that they were marooned on a jungle planet for a period of time. Their hive ships were shot down, and it's a oxygen-rich tropical world. And in Earth's ancient history, the more oxygen-rich the atmosphere is, the larger winged invertebrates could be. So I figured they might adapt to that by developing these membranous insect-like wings that they could actually use to kind of power around.
So your army is helping fuel natural climate change conspiracy theories. Great.
That's true.
Thanks, Timbo.
That's true.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. I can't wait when we get back to the Carboniferous and there's 6-foot dragonflies. It's going to be fantastic.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's some advice that's good for not just Tyranid players but everybody. Try to put thought into. I mean, okay. Imperial vehicles tend to be a little bit on the gaudy side and have things that make no sense whatsoever, and that's fine. But if you can add bits or add modifications to your army that tell a story that help advance that story, then I think you'll find that very rewarding. And that's true for any army, like Orcs. Maybe your big mech with custom force field. Maybe he got it, or maybe he got it from some Tau, and you can grab some of the bits from the Tau of terrain kits and put those on there. Maybe one of your Space Marine characters has a special like shield that they picked up from a relic world of some kind, and you can use some of the bits from the the Garden of Moor has a whole bunch of really cool like cherubim and they have like ravens and stuff that you can put on the characters. So it's things like that can fuel your character's backstory and inform the story going forward.
Yeah, and I think that people are sometimes a little, I don't want to say reluctant, but it feels almost more natural to do that for a Space Marine army where everyone's got a name and they're humans, they're characters that you can relate to a little bit better. With Tyranids, it's a little harder to feel that because they're these weird aliens, but it almost makes it more interesting because you could say, yeah, all my Gaunts have bioluminescent body parts because the whole Hive fleet was on a planet with no light the last time they were planetside, so they evolved this adaptation and they just kept it because it was useful,
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I liked that. I was reading the show notes and I was wanting to bring that up about the evolving, bioluminescent organs because that could give some really fascinating modeling opportunities for people.
Oh yeah, it looks really cool. I think to have those little bits of light, and that exists in nature too. There's so much. Honestly, the best thing I can recommend if you're looking to make really unique looking Tyranids is just Googling different kinds of insects or different kinds of lizards or frogs and just looking at the patterns that can be just occur in real life, because you can't get any weirder than some of that stuff.
Oh my goodness, you guys. Did either of you ever read It?
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah,
Like,
it's been a while.
I can imagine a giant... I'm giving things away. Let's just imagine deadlights
Spoiler.
on a Tyranid model.
Mhm.
That would be super,
Sure.
super sweet. Oh my god, you could get some of those lighting kits. That would be super
Yeah.
cool. That would be super cool.
It'd be pretty sick.
So you also bring something up here that we've talked about in the past, and it's something that I'm doing with my Imperial Knights, even though I really haven't reflected that on the battlefield very much lately, and that's creating a recurring enemy for your characters. Now, I was reading through the Tyranid Codex, and I'm like, this Cryptman guy he might be enemy number 1 for the Tyranids, or buddy number 1. I'm not sure which one, and I don't think they're sure either.
Oh, yeah.
No one's quite sure yet.
Yeah. You want to talk about your great recurring enemy?
Yeah, so this is where it gets really, really nerdy.
Yes, it's my favorite part. Hold on, I need more nuts. Hold on.
Beyond being on a narrative podcast about 40K, we're
gonna
going nerdier, folks.
Oh well, we
Yeah.
have to make
We're
up.
going in.
We have to make up for the somewhat rulesy second half of this podcast by just going super nerd
yeah.
in this segment. So just
Yeah.
go
We're gonna
for it,
get-
Timbo.
We're gonna get nerdy as hell for a minute. So the main, I think that the best way to really make character from Tyranids is if you're writing. I write a lot of fiction for my army whenever I'm doing a campaign, and I do campaigns fairly regularly. And me and my friends will always write some fiction for our armies about why they're in this, what they're looking for, why they're in the system, whatever. And I found that it was really boring to write Tyranid fluff from an omniscient narrative perspective, because they don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of left dryly describing what they're doing, which is fine in short bursts, but I think the best way to really write this stuff is to have an enemy that's watching them, and then you can sort of process all of their behaviors through that character. And for me, I have a very small Inquisition force led by an Inquisitor that I made up. Her name is Helena von Junst. She's an Ordo Xenos Inquisitor, and her primary motivation is to study Tyranids, figure out how their communication works, and hopefully use that ability to stop their advance. And there's a whole bunch of other plot stuff where she as a character is someone that's equal parts determined to get rid of the Tyranids, but also like kind of impressed by them because they're so perfect in a lot of ways.
Timbo.
Yeah.
I think you need to start Gene Stealer Cult.
Oh, it's already happened. Sorry.
Because I think that's the natural progression for her story.
Yep. Oh, you may have jumped the gun a tiny bit on where this is headed, but yes, that's something that's going to happen.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I've got my Gene Stealer cult is coming along pretty well, actually, and that's something I'll get to in a second because they're also very useful.
They are useful, though. I'm really interested in helping people, and I think that's something I brought up in the last episode. It's like I really want people to be able to play their Tyranids without going, oh, and I'll just add some Gene Stealer cult just to add human character, which is fine, but you should feel good about bringing a narrative game, even if you're just bringing bugs.
Yes, and I think you can. So the reason that Helena as a character is useful is because she's got a log ownership of all the different HQ choices, basically, that I have in my army. She's got a name for all of them. and has a list of their preferred tactics that she's observed on the battlefield and their weird behaviors that don't seem to fall into any logical scientific frame, you know? So it becomes easy to kind of sit there and be like, oh, well, a Hive Tyrant, it's gonna go after the most valuable thing, or it's gonna fight or shoot or whatever. But, you know, if you want, you can write that Hive Tyrant as a character in and of itself. Like, okay, it's got a nickname. The nickname is Lilith. It prefers to go after Psychers. No one's entirely sure why. It always seems to seek them out. It has been observed, like, pacing up and down battlefields. It's constantly hoarding psychic artifacts, like a bird hoards shiny objects, you know. And this might not be like totally loyal to Tyranid fluff or whatever, but I don't care. I think it makes them more interesting, and it keeps them mysterious. Like, why is it doing that? Why does it care about these weird artifacts that it's carrying around or devouring on the battlefield? But it also gives it a reason to do something that's kind of interesting and kind of fun.
That is awesome. I'm imagining some of the creatures from the Kingdom Deathline have like lanterns hanging off them and stuff, and some D&D monsters also hoard magic items in a similar way, where you have this bestial creature and it's got stuff hanging off it. And I think you see some crustaceans end up with objects, glued to their bodies as armor, and that's super cool to see. So it's kind of in that vein.
Yeah, that Hive Tyrant's weird behavior is based on the larvae of a Caddis fly, which spends its larvae stage underwater and coats its body in like rocks and small hard objects. And what's kind of cool about them is if you put them in a tank full of like gold and gems, they'll make jewelry for you. It's kind of neat.
That is so cool. And I see, this is the problem with these episodes. I'm like, oh, how cool would it be to have like a Carnifex, but you don't put like part of its shell on. Instead, you just grab a Lehman Russ and cut it up and kind of just glue it to his back. How neat would that be?
That would be so sick. Oh my god. Why not? Why not? Just do it.
Yeah,
I think that'd be awesome.
Oh man,
I love seeing
player comes out.
Yeah. I'll loot it.
It's not crazy. It could happen. I mean, it's a big galaxy.
It is a big galaxy. I think that would be for some reason, like this Splinter Fleet went through like some kind of strange. Oh, they got caught in the Cicatrix Maledictum, right? They got caught in the rift, and when they came out, their DNA was horribly mangled, and their exoskeleton was badly affected. But they developed they did manage to quickly, after some terrible defeats at the hand of the Space Marines, they were able to develop a sticky, viscous like substance that they can exude, and they were able to stick a bunch of the destroyed Space Marine armor on their bodies and use that as their chitinous shell.
Dude, you might not believe this, but there is a real assassin bug in Tropics that when it kills an insect, it glues its exoskeleton to its back as camouflage and armor.
Whoa.
Wow, that is so rad.
So awesome. Oh. It's really metal, but yeah. Do it.
Oh my god, that's so cool. So I know
Carnifex just covered in Space Marines. I love it.
Dude. Stop. This is the most expensive army ever so far. For every model, I have to buy 2 models. Not that I haven't done it before with Orcs, but gee whiz. I'll do it. So we've already touched on the swarm intelligence aspect. Did you have anything to add to that?
As far as swarm intelligence, basically, there's like, so okay, you can split that up into 2 things. You've got your termagants, your hormagaunts, all of these kind of bestial organisms. They're like a single brain cell. They're just kind of acting out their instinct, in the most efficient way for the hive. But there's some organisms that can sort of rise above that, and of course I'm talking about Lichters and Gene Stealers. Gene Stealers have all kinds of freedom, and they'll sometimes like run away from their hive fleet when they know that the reassimilation is coming. So they have some self-preservation techniques, and you can make your Gene Stealers really, really fluffy and really interesting. And these things get worshipped by humans for reasons, and it's not just because of the genetic weirdness, but they're also really cool. And I think that I've seen some incredible Gene Stealer conversions where they, they'll replace limbs with bionic limbs, or they'll develop weird tactics or interesting biomorphs, like they'll have tentacles for arms because of some mutation they went through, and you can come up with so many cool options for those guys.
That's cool. And at the end of the day, the Gene Stealer's individuality and desire to survive, like to preserve its life, does in the end still serve the hive. Because of the way worlds infested by Gene Stealer cults become beacons for the hive fleets. So, even that small bit still serves the fleet.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wasted in evolution, really, and even that bit of selfishness does in fact help the group as a whole. So that's another cool thing.
So, Timbo, are you saying that selfishness and altruism go hand in hand and can't live without each other?
Evolutionarily, maybe.
I'm just doing everything I can in this episode to upset our friend Connor. So
Take that, Connor.
Take that! Okay. So that's super fun. I want to touch on something. I want to talk about the psychic abilities of the Tyranids and how that can relate to the stories you write. Now, I kind of want to disagree with you a little bit on the notion of the hive mind, because I feel like the wild card in that is psychic power. Real insects don't have a magic field that they can tap into to get direction from, right? They have pheromones, and I guess some of them do kind of communicate with body language, and they can also kind of can they communicate using touch in some ways?
Oh yeah. Touch, vibration, sound, so many different ways of communicating. And one, I think that first of all, they don't have psychic powers as far as we know.
Yeah.
There's no certainties in science. But they also can communicate, just sort of, they'll blanket an area with a pheromone, and it kind of spreads a message to everything in that region, which is almost like a psychic power when you think about it.
It is. And if we can actually think of the hive mind in those terms, where, even thought can, it's a little difficult to assume that very complex notions can be transmitted over millions of light years in a blink. And it's almost like it's the hive mind is more of the flexing of a muscle than it is a series of complex directions. Right, imagine imagine Hive Fleet Leviathan and one tendril of it touching the edge of the Imperium and feeling the burn of humanity retaliating. And it pulls back a little bit and just kind of redirects its attack underneath. Imagine just this huge superorganism reaching out at the galaxy and maybe just reeling back a little bit and trying for another go, right? It does. In some ways, I think you're right, where it doesn't feel like a concentrated, like, or a detailed thought process. It's more of a reaction, counter-reaction type thing.
Right, and that doesn't preclude it from having deep tactics.
Right.
Because those, when you think about it, a human brain coming up with tactics is billions of cells working in unison, and at the end of the day, you think, I thought of that, but you're a superorganism too.
My billions of organisms figured it out for me, actually, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And, there's great things out there. I don't know if anybody's ever seen dolphins hunt, but it's cool. Rough. It is rough. If you're a fish, it's rough.
Not a good day.
No, I'm imagining a buffalo hunt. So we used to do that in a very similar way. Humanity, we just round them up and just, it's like a chicken shoot or whatever you call it. Like they swim around, they find a school, they swim around the school, blasting it with sound waves, getting them into this giant ball of fish, and then they dart in, grabbing giant mouthfuls of fish, and in minutes the school is decimated by these dolphins.
So in this metaphor, the fish are planets, right?
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like,
it's not looking good.
No, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for us. Fortunately for us though, sometimes you have a trawler that's encircling the entire thing with a net, and and then sometimes you just get Tyranids in your chicken of the sea. Wow, we've stretched this metaphor, haven't we?
Keep going.
I'm just saying great old ones.
Don't stop.
I'm just saying great old ones. I might be saying that. I don't know.
I'll hold you to that.
Awesome. So that's really cool. Is there anything else you want to add about Tyranid narratives, telling your narrative Tyranid stories, Timbo?
Outside of that, not so much, except I gotta re-stress the point real quick. It is always helpful and cool to have some Gene Stealer cult. They are actual people, first of all, and they are a little bit easier to write for, and they have I think that people sometimes say that Chaos is like the Lovecraftian stuff. Tyranids are definitely the Lovecraftian army in Warhammer 40k. It's impossible for a human to totally understand their motives. They come out of nowhere, and there are weird cults that dream about them and accidentally summon them with their own latent whatever. And I've seen some great Gene Stealer cult fluff out there. Our friend Mark has awesome Gene Stealer cult fluff where they are all infected with brain worms, so they are aware that they're being used as meat puppets by these weird aliens, but they can't do anything about it, which I think is really, really metal and awesome. There's you can go all sorts of directions with that. Mine are my Gene Stealer cult are half they're all based on Mechanicus bits, so they have half horrible Tyranid mutations and half robotic limbs, because they think that Tyranids are pretty perfect, but they could be better.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the 40k lore is informed by different aspects of Lovecraft and Robert Howard and in some ways H.G. Wells, and but the Tyranids are definitely the Deep Ones type part of that aspect. For sure. I agree 100%. So I kind of wanted to spill the beans on some of the lore in the book. By the time people listen to this, they'll have the book in their hands, so I don't feel too bad about it. Also, I'm just super, super stoked about it. Because we get some great details on the two big Tyranid stories, Hive Fleet Leviathan with in the Octarius sector, and the Battle of Baal. And suffice to say, there's an awesome story about Orc Captain Scarfang fighting against the Leviathan, and long story short, our concerns regarding Leviathan breaking out are becoming a reality. So there's some great stories in there with the Lichters and how they are actually trained to go after. They're actually they're created to go after specific characters. Like they're given the pheromone scent of a character, and they go after them. It's really
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that in action. And the Battle of Baal, we get a lot more insight into what happened between the Hive Fleet and the Blood Angels, and what the Bloodthirsters' role really was in that battle. So look forward to seeing that because that was really cool. And then we get to a section that's a really, they're adding a lot of these sections, and I'm really glad that they are, because it's at the core of what we're talking about today. And they're talking about how our galaxy is causing, and our resistance to the Tyranids, and the way that our galaxy is so messed up in the warp is causing more and more splinter fleets to show up. And I don't think it's because they're just showing up from outer space. I think that, in my opinion, it's just how messed up the 40K galaxy is causing lots of mutations. Lots of rapid mutations of the Tyranid bioforms. Unlike other species, I don't cringe at the thought of these rapid mutations, because it's the Tyranids. It's what they do.
Right. Even at the best of times, they're mutating constantly, and even if it's not some warp storm thing, they're fighting dozens of different forces, and they have to adapt constantly to keep moving forward.
Right. Like, I balk at the concept of a human evolving to be a perfect spacefaring species in 1,000 years. That's just stupid. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But
literally not possible.
Yeah, but a Tyranid, on the other hand, yes, I can definitely see these various splinter fleets breaking off and becoming their own thing, and devouring each other too. There's a few stories about that, which is very exciting. Basically, Tyranid fleet, Hive splinter fleets figuring out who is the superior bioform and coming out of the system stronger than it was before. So these are all excellent ways of developing your own narrative, your own storyline. You should never feel bad about developing your own Hive fleet, because our galaxy is just a bunch of assholes, and the Tyranids need to constantly update themselves in order to survive and thrive.
Yeah, and I mean, the galaxy is tremendous, right? We've not seen anywhere near all of it in real life, and just on Earth alone, there's probably about 1 million species of insects, like 1 million, which is an obscenely huge number. So if you're gonna create your own Tyranid hive fleet, I would probably guess that there's thousands of tiny splinter fleets that maybe only have one hive ship. That's it. And why not?
Nice. All right. Well, I think that's good. Folks, stick around. We're going to have a battle between Hank's Hive Fleet Behemoth versus Josh's Craft World of Biltan. It's not a proper Altar of War episode where they played a game with the new codexes and then discussed how the game went and discussed their impressions on the codex. Then we'll come back for the outro. Please stick around.
Come here, boy. Get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotobix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, Zotobix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert depths. Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached. Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40k club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't.
Oi! After an hard day's shopping, I like to head down to the pub and enjoy a good brew with me mates. Shopping humans all day is hard smelly work, so's I likes to top myself up with something nice. Chopper body spray is not just a treat for you, it's a treat for the whole crew. Now available in Green Apple Grunt, All After Dark, and Oops Don't Press That Fragrances. Chopper body spray, don't make me axe you twice.
All right, thanks for joining us. Welcome back. As promised, I have Josh.
Hello.
And Hank.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us, Hank, for the first time.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome, and you're a great addition to the group. Hank comes to us from Chi-Town. So we had a game today. Josh had the flu last time.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Wake up with 103-degree fever.
Gross. Gross. But he has returned to try out the new Eldar Codex.
Oh, yeah.
And Hank has come to try out the new Tyranid Codex.
Yeah.
We had a game. We played on our really super cool Tundra Fat Mat and Winter Terrain. We put a few ruins on the board. I put the Aegis, or not the Aegis defense line, the
Sky Shield landing pad.
Thank you, the Sky Shield, and I put the Bastion on top of it to make it like a super kind of big thing. And we put some trees all around, some winter trees all around on the Aegis defense lines and the ruins, and I even put some trees on top of, like little trees on top of the Bastion. Around these parts, you see that. Trees tend to grow on top of buildings and things. So it looks like a very overgrown old Imperial emplacement where the there are a lot of Gene Stealers, but where the Tyranids and the Eldar are fighting over a fallen relic of some kind. I'm gonna guess some kind of relic that the Imperium once held, and you both have tracked down, that could have some kind of effect on your future. So, Hank, why don't you talk about the list you brought and what you were trying to kind of use from the new Codex?
Well, I was trying to put together an all-comers list, and I tried to do a mix of close combat and some shooting, particularly shooting that was going to take down vehicles and flyers.
Mm-hmm.
So my list was a brigade detachment which gave me 12 command points, which with all the new bells and whistles was fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I took the Swarm Lord, and the High Fleet I took was what can I think of it? It rerolled charges, Catalyst, and Psychic Scream for my
Behemoth.
Sorry, Behemoth. I couldn't think of the word. Behemoth, which let me reroll my charges because this was a very charge-centric army in a lot of ways with a Swarm Lord. And
well, you played this list against me on Monday, and you took the 6-up
Involves,
or Feel No Pain type save,
yes.
And you were like, you know what, this needs reroll charges, and you'll find out why when Hank finishes his list.
Yes. I took the other headquarter choices I took was the Broodlord and the Tyranid Prime. Broodlord had Onslaught and Yamagral Factor as the bio artifact basically. And
what do those do?
The Yamagral Factor lets you have +1 attack, +1 strength, or +1 toughness. It changes every turn. The Tyranid Prime, I gave the Norn Crown, which extends Synapse control, or it makes all of your bugs not have to take instinctive behavior penalties within 30 inches of that. And that's what the Tyranid Prime had. My troop choices were 20 Gene Stealers, Plain Jane, 20 additional Gene Stealers, Plain Jane, a unit of 19 Gaunts, 15 armed with Devourers, Tyranid Warriors, again with Sighting Talons, and just plain no upgrades, merely because I needed the Synapse and the Control Factor, and 2 tiny units of Termagants, 10 each, just so that I finish out the 6 troop choices. The idea being for the Termagants to be speed bumps or hold units, especially since when they're within Synapse, they can just ignore morale. I took 3 Tyrant Guards as elites, a Lichter, and 3 Hive Guards armed with Impaler Cannons. My fast attacks were 3.
The Tyrant Guards still suck wounds for the Prime, right?
Yeah, they're basically meat shields for the Swarm Lords or Tyrants in general, the Hive Tyrants. Right. And that 105 Plain Jane, that's not a bad unit of 9 wounds at T5. So it's awesome. And you can trick them out and make them better, but
they're pretty punchy too.
If when I had it with you, I had actually given them Crushing Claws, which are more points because I had them.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured I'm not going to run into a unit of 4 Knights all the time. And basically, I've only gotten them to hand-to-hand combat when I was using the other lists on a very rare occasion. They usually are gone or down to 1 too quickly, so it's not worth bumping their costs up, doubling their costs by giving them extra weapons.
Those guys are cool. I learned from the Adeptus Terra podcast today that the Tyrant Guard are rumored to be ex-Space Marines. They've been found with fused breastplates and black carapace underneath their skin. But they have to wipe their memories because otherwise the Space Marines would totally take over. So they're just these mindless, basically robot machines.
I love them because they just absorb a lot of damage, and unless you're hitting weapons that do lots and lots of damage, you can usually get the Swarm Lord there. And that's the idea. My fast attacks, I took cheap. I took 3 units of Spore Mines, and each unit of Spore Mines include 3 Spore Mines that I can deploy in space. And my heavy support was a Trigon Prime, which gave me Synapse, and it allowed me to bring a unit of Gene Stealers in, 3 Biovores, which I think is probably my best heavy artillery, and I brought a Carnifex all tricked out for shooting, enhanced senses, heavy venom cannon, and Stranglethorn cannon. I came in with minimal upgrades at 1998, so that was my list.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like you really took advantage of this kind of blitzkrieg, move across the table.
Super fast.
Coming out of nowhere sort of list. And it, when we talk about the game, listeners will figure out what we're talking about. Josh, so what did you choose to bring to our game?
All right, well, as everybody probably knows, I like to play more towards the BL-10. I like aspects. So I want to give the BL-10 a try, even though the internet's hating on them right now. So the BL-10 is good. It allows you to reroll ones for shurikens, anything with that in it.
That's cool. It works in Overwatch too.
Correct. Yeah. So it works all the time for one. So I put a check mark down as that worked really well. I got a lot of rerolls on for my ones. Didn't do as many wounds as Hank was making saves, but that allowed me to hit a lot more since most everything's BS3 in the army. So, and then it also gives you a leadership +1 to your leadership for the aspects, but it didn't really come up that much. Just one unit took a lot of damage, but normally I don't lose that many that I'm gonna fail because I have small squads.
Right.
So that is a good buff if you're taking full 10-man squads, but
or even 20,
or
right?
20 for Guardians.
You can do 20 Guardians, right?
That could help, but didn't come up during this game.
And against chaos too, because there's some chaos that negs your leadership.
Yes.
Hank, there's some Tyranids that neg your leadership too?
There are some leadership debuffs, and there are some psychic powers.
Right. I love that about Tyranids because you really feel the fear factor of the army, like the way they kind of darken your connection to the warp and the way they adjust your leadership. You very much get the feeling of horrors from beyond the galaxy's edge.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it's like today during our game, the Eldar had a number of problems because the shadow of the warp has changed, and most of my synapse creatures have shadow, even if they're not psychic.
And that makes you roll a d6 for your psychic powers?
No, it just reduces your psychic check by 1. So
that hurt me a lot during the game.
Okay.
The first 2 turns.
Cool. All right, well, why don't you continue your list?
All right, yeah. So for my list of BL-10, I wanted to use an autarch like I normally do as a leader with the new Path of Command.
Oh.
The new Path of Command gives him an aura of 6 inches. Everybody can reroll ones to hit.
Oh, good.
And then it also allows, if the autarch is your warlord, gives you a 6+ to get command points back that you spent.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I was able to recover 3 command points
nice.
during the game. So that was actually really good, and I want to try that out. And I feel like he'll probably be my warlord going forward. So I took the autarch with swooping wings. In the book, they took out the warp generator autarch, and they significantly reduced what weapons they can have. So there's only 3 autarchs now. One is he walks around and punches people. Doesn't really have any weapons choices. The swooping hawk's wings XR comes with the power sword and fusion gun, and then you get the autarch on a Skyrunner, and he can change out with the laser lance. So there's not a lot of weapons
more
combos.
Like a Shining Spear
XR, yeah.
Okay.
So I went to Swooping Hawk because that's the one I have.
And he's awesome.
And he's awesome. He moves around.
Yeah.
I took the Warlord trait that because the BL-10 Warlord trait allows him to choose a unit within 3 inches to reroll ones, or reroll all failed to hit. But since everybody's rerolling ones within 6 inches of him anyway, I didn't take that one. I took the +1 wound and 6+ feel no pain on him.
Oh yeah,
make him more durable.
That's nice.
So
you can really, that's great for if you have like a warlord that you really want to be the Billy BA, especially the autarch. If you're going autarch, you deserve a little bit of extra love.
Right.
There.
So and then I gave him as my relic the Shard of Anaris.
Oh, what's that do?
The Shard of Anaris changed a little bit this time. Gives you -3 to hit, but it's D3 wounds instead of 1, and then it allows him to reroll wounds. So it makes him more,
to hit?
Or -3 AP.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it makes him a little heavy hitter, dealing more wounds, hopefully in combat.
Nice.
So That's a good one. The other one is the Shimmer Plume, which is -1 to hit. That's an Autarch only.
Oh.
But I assume he's in a unit somewhere,
Right.
most of the time protected, so I feel like that relic's a little wasted unless
you're going against like Mordians with it.
Yeah.
I think it's Mordians. I can't remember. Whoever it is, it's like shooting all their las guns at your character.
Right, so that could hurt you. But,
and if you're jumping around with the Autarch and with the wings, I could see if you could just be like, you know what, I'm going in. You know?
Yeah. Well, and the other one, for the Beal Tanpsyker, the other relic I was going to take was a Beal Tanpsyker can reroll failed psychic tests on top of if you put that on a Farseer who can already get a reroll.
Right. Yeah. If you're getting
so that you obviously can't reroll a reroll, but that basically gives you 2 rerolls a turn, for both your powers.
Nice.
So that's pretty powerful as well. But I wanted to save my command points for some other stratagems, I guess I will talk about later. So.
Well, we can talk about it now because we can talk about let's start with that because I feel like it's not just the craft world abilities that let you uniquely style your army because you're playing Lugganoth.
Yeah.
As your
main.
Yeah. And there is no Lugganoth in the book.
No.
And Lugganoth.
They have a little blurb that tells them that they're kind of like a Corsair Eldar. They hang out with Harlequins and they're kind of doing their own thing.
Right, right. There's some stuff. I mean, I guess you could choose a specific ability in there, but to be honest, I think they could pick almost anything and be Lugganoth, and it would be fine. But there are stratagems that really focus on, and you used the stratagems that let you feel like you're coming out of the webway, which is basically where Lugganoth live.
Right.
Lugganoth are a craft world that very much have given up on the real world.
Yeah.
They've washed their hands of everything having to do with real space, and they live in the warp, or not the warp. They live in the webway. So you chose to. What was the name of the stratagem?
The Webway Strike.
Webway Strike.
Yeah.
And you use that a lot.
Well, I had planned on using. You can spend 1 command point or 3 for 1 unit or 2 units.
Uh-huh.
And I only ended up using 1 based on how he was deploying and what we had.
Well, he was up in your face instantaneously.
Right. So I only kept 1 unit of Fire Dragons in the Webway. And then I didn't end up Cloud Striking my Banshees just because I needed to hopefully block out and keep him farther away, knowing that he was going to be in my face.
But I feel like a lot of the stratagems so a lot of folks are still a little salty about losing the old battle focus, but I think a lot of the stratagems kind of simulate that, but you just don't get it on everyone all the time.
Right, so Feigned Retreat also, which I use, allows you to fall back out of combat and then shoot and charge if you want again. So he had charged in and consolidated Dark Reapers.
Yeah.
So I bounced them out of, retrieved them out of combat, used 2 command points, which I got back with my Autarch's roll, and then shot in and, did some wounds outside.
Yeah, so the Eldar really feel as thematic as they always did. It's just you don't get all those tricks at all times.
Right, and I could have fit in a whole brigade. It's not, it doesn't, the way I needed to fit in a brigade didn't fit the way I really wanted to play to get those extra command points. But I still had 8 to start with, and I got 3 back. So
that's great.
So really, I got 11 command points, throughout the whole course of the game. So
that's sweet. So did you use the rest of your command points for just like rerolls and stuff, or?
I used 2 command points for Forewarned, which allows I had a missed setup in my deployment. There's too many stratagems I was trying to remember in the beginning. Forewarned, knowing that he was going to be in my face allows you to shoot at a visible enemy that comes up basically out of the webway or the ground for the Tyranids, and is within 6 inches of your Farseer. So instead of putting my Farseer near my Dark Reapers, who I wanted to be able to shoot a visible enemy when he came up, I left him over by my Guardians to buff them, and which they shot and killed some Gene Stealers, but I didn't get the full effect of that stratagem as I wanted to.
It seems like that's going to be a really important stratagem against armies like Orcs and Gene Stealers and stuff.
And you see that gets in your face really fast. You're at least able
teleports.
to you're able to shoot, and you can use it multiple turns if people are bringing in stuff every other turn. The caveat is you need Farseer for that one. So
yeah, I like that it's not a psychic power though, because you can do it turn 1.
Yeah.
Right. If it were a psychic power, you wouldn't be able to do it if you go second.
Correct.
Right. So I think it makes sense that it's a very fluffy, very narrative based stratagem.
Yeah, it's based on the Farseer being able to know that hey, these guys are going to show up here.
Yep.
Let's shoot this way.
Knowledge. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So Hank, what stratagems did you find useful throughout the game?
There are a lot of really interesting new ones, but one of the ones I used later in the game that gave me some command points back was Feeder Tendrils.
Mm-hmm.
That's when a Gene Stealer Lichter or Toxicrane or Venom Throat kills a character in the fight phase, you gain D3 command points back.
Nice, because you suck their knowledge?
Yeah, basically. It's very thematic. It's like, I eat you, and I would adjust all your knowledge. So, that's
he ate my Spirit Seer and got 2 command points.
I spent 1 to get 2. So.
Yeah. That is so perfect.
So it was really good. There's Bounty of the Hive Fleet, which is a stratagem before the battle. You pay 1 command point for 1 extra bio artifact, or 2 bio artifacts for 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get some really interesting bio artifacts. And like I said, I picked up 1 extra one, and that worked out okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, there's a bunch of specific ones, but some of the others I did use included. There's Power of the Hive Mind. I didn't use this, but I was going to. It's like the stratagem: select a Tyranid Psyker unit from your army that manifests a psychic power this turn. You can immediately attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power.
Oh, cool.
For a command point. So you do another smite if you wanted to.
That is cool.
There are.
What about the Gene Stealer one, where when you set up the Gene Stealers, you can also set up spawning pools or something?
Yes, you set up spawning. If you have a Gene Stealer unit, you can set up 4 infestation points within your deployment area.
Mm-hmm.
And they go away if there's an enemy unit comes within 8 inches of it.
Okay.
But up until that point, you can deploy Gene Stealers to that point, within 8 inches, 9 inches of that, 6 depending on the thing, 6 to 9 inches of that infestation point. So it's really nice to deploy or redeploy deploy your Gene Stealers. There is a stratagem that allows you to pay 3 to deploy 5 Gene Stealers near one of the infestation points, or within 6 inches. I think it's within 6 inches of a Broodlord. So if you have Broodlord left or one of those infestation points left, you can get 5 additional Gene Stealers on the field.
So cool.
For every 3 command points.
And I think, command points for summoning is a really cool ability, and I really love how they're starting to add that in. I wish it was in the Chaos Space Marines Codex, because that would be really cool, but the fact that they're doing it here with the Gene Stealers, with the Tyranids, I assume that we're going to have something similar in the Demons Codex.
Oh, I imagine.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, here it is. It's called the Brood, and this stratagem at the end of your movement phase, add a new unit up to 5 Gene Stealers to your army, and set them up as reinforcements wholly within 6 inches of a Broodlord or an infestation node from your army, and more than 9 inches from an enemy model.
That's so cool.
So if you have somebody who infiltrates behind you, or they get there and you're trying to do something, it's for 3 command points, you get another 5-man Gene Stealer unit.
And you don't really care about the outside of 9 inches thing, right? Because that's one of the really interesting kind of gotchas of the army, is that your leaders kind of coax the Gribblies forward, right? What's it called? Onslaught?
Onslaught. Well, there's 2 things. There's the Swarm Lord has a unique. It's called Hive Commander, and in the shooting phase, any Tyranid unit from your fleet, your Hive fleet, whatever, you can have them move in advance in the shooting phase as if it's in their movement phase.
And the Gene Sneakers, they are allowed to assault if they run.
Yes.
Correct?
They advance.
Super fast.
Yeah, so your threat bubble with a Gene Sneakers can be, on average, 22-inch movements, let's say, and then a charge of, let's say an average of 7. So you're almost at 30-inch charge threat bubble.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, that sounds really good, but it's also super thematic. Like, Gene Stealers have always supposed to be this threat that just gets right up in your grill, So I recommend folks bubble wrap. Well,
and the Behemoth is nice because it does let you reroll, and if you do the math hammer on it, that means your average isn't 7 on charge.
Yeah.
It's actually 9 or 10.
Yep.
Because of statistics.
Yeah, for the I've done it for Orcs. As long as you have a command point ready to reroll 1 dice. Actually, I think it was Tim Whitney did the math for us. It was something like 53% chance of making a 9-inch charge.
Yes.
Which is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty good.
And for
if you have multiple guys,
and if you give adrenal glands to the units that you can, that's why I've instead of taking my Termagants, I almost took Hormagants because that would give me a huge charge threat bubble with a reroll.
Oh yeah, I mean if you go from 9 to 8, okay, so. Our listeners aren't used to hearing mathematics, but on 2D, I played a lot of BattleTech back in the day, and there are 3 permutations of 8 in 2D6, so out of 36, so you're adding a whole 10th to it. It's really really good.
Yeah, and it's and actually if you calculate in the fact that you can change those odds even more with a decision point instead of rolling 2, rolling 1. Your odds actually increase in your favor dramatically.
Right, with the addition of rerolls makes it even crazier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's really good. That's awesome. And so Josh, what did you not use? Is there anything you didn't use that you want to try out next time?
I didn't use the Avatar, which I like to. I really wanted at least 1 airplane, and I love the Hemlock. It's about the same cost. The Avatar's still $250, so he's kind of expensive for what he does.
But he can come back from the dead.
But he can come back. So that's cool. The Avatar Resurgent allows him, once he dies, to come back with D6 wounds, which he has only 8 wounds to start with. So he could almost come back to full health.
Right. And you save your reroll for that too.
Oh yeah.
Just in case.
So I really want to use the Avatar. I didn't use him today, just because I feel like he's still so many points. I get, the Autarch, the Farseer, and the Spirit Seer in for the same.
How many wounds does he have?
He has 8 wounds.
So you wrap him with some kind of...
Yeah, so you still can't shoot him, I agree. You can walk him... I mean, you can put him behind Guardians, and apparently you have to shoot the Guardians other than the scary demon, walking across the field.
He's ducking and weaving.
He's
ducking and weaving.
So that's good. The Autarch is a good leader, but I like the Avatar. And he does fit with the BLTN. I just want to try a few other things out today.
Right.
So, the other thing is I may try a different craft world, as well. I do like BL10, and the re-rolling ones was good, but didn't cause as many wounds when he had invols and stuff, so I don't know that it helped me as much.
Yeah, I think if you're committing to a theme, maybe just super commit to it.
Right.
It's like if you're taking a lot of Storm Guardian or regular Guardians, or you're taking a lot of.
And so I didn't really go over my whole list. We got sidetracked. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I had Dire Ventures and Guardians. Yeah. My Warwalkers had cannons on them to get the rerolls ones. My Wave Serpent was kitted out with cannons.
Okay, so you did take advantage.
So I did try and take as much advantage of it.
Okay.
all their pistols for the Banshees and the Scorpions are all shuriken, so they all got to reroll the 1s as well.
Okay.
So I tried to commit as many.
Those still do something on a 6, right? They are
6s,
AP-3.
still AP-3,
That's
yeah.
really good.
So.
And he hit me a lot with those 1s rerolls. It was kind of annoying at times. But lucky for me, most of what he hit had invulns.
Yep.
So,
Man, those Gene Stealers.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Gene Stealers are really tough now. Especially,
I think I did 19 wounds for just shooting that turn, and you only lost 3.
Yeah, so
he made a ridiculous amount of saves that turn.
Yes.
I'm loving these stratagems, though. They're so good.
There's a lot of other stratagems that I would like to use that I didn't get to use. Just we ran out of models. Really,
Yeah.
You know,
we could have played a 2,500 point game.
So things that I wanted to do, I couldn't really do. That Cloud Strike I wanted to use, but ended up not using that. And the other one that I was really going to use against him, because I think it's a great one, is what's it? It allows me to Phantasm. It allows me, after we've deployed, to redeploy up 3 units at the very beginning of the battle before turn 1. So I think that's a really great stratagem to use in tournaments and stuff, where you can, force one side and then you can buff another, like move 3 units and rebuff another side and kind of train it. So I really like that. That stratagem will be hit or miss based on how deployments go and what games you play, but that one's really good to have in your back pocket to be able to use.
Are you finding the cards useful?
Yes. I forgot why I bought the cards. That's why I'm in the store. Adam, why did I buy these cards? And having all the stratagems in there and then the psychic powers, which I still forgot that I doomed somebody because I forgot to put the card down. I like to put the card down next to him, but having the cards was awesome. I pulled out the ones that I thought I wanted to use, so that way I didn't have to flip around and try and find them. I just looked through the cards real fast and grabbed out the one I was going to use. Because there's a lot that you're not going to use every time. I didn't have a Warlock Conclave. Some of them are craft world specific, so I didn't need to have those out and stuff like that. So you just pull out the ones that you need, and it's really easy, makes the game go faster. So
that's cool. Yeah, folks, you should check those out. Hank, anything you're looking forward to using next time?
Well, I love the Biovores in this new 8th edition. So it's like for 106 points, you're averaging 3 to 6 mortal wounds a turn for a unit, range 36. Even if they don't give you back the indirect fire when they FAQ this particular codex, because they still haven't included language. Looks like they cut and pasted the old Biovore text and carried it over, but they didn't say indirect fire again.
Okay.
So they may or not.
We're not sure if that was on purpose or not.
We don't know yet.
Okay.
So what's happening though is you get either spore mines if you miss, and if you hit, you get mortal wounds. And at 106 points for
nobody else that leaves mortal wounds on the field. Like if you miss, then you just have spores out there that are going to do mortal wounds.
You have to kill them.
So you have to shoot at them, or else they just come up and go D3 mortal wounds.
I shot a battle cannon at one on Monday. I didn't kill it.
They're so awesome.
They're great for speed bumps. If you put 6 shots a turn out, it's like I said, it's 106 points. And for me, even though they do less damage since they're more wounds versus the Carnifex I kitted out, the Carnifex I kitted out can hypothetically do 9 wounds a turn at strength 7 and strength 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, but those aren't mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So I hit your knight with Biovores, and I'll do 3 to 4 or 5 mortal wounds a turn, no matter what your toughness is. So.
I'm just looking at these Tyranid stratagems. I want to talk about one more. Look at this one. This one says it's called Death Frenzy. It lets you, it's 2 command points, and you can fight when you die.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Or shoot.
Or shoot. That's true.
And the other one I love is called Brute Force, and it's a behemoth stratagem. I was going to use this. if I charge and get there, on a 6 for a regular character, I do a mortal wound with any enemy unit within 1 inch. But if it's a monster, it's a 2+ to get a mortal wound for 1 command point. So you're doing a mortal wound as you come into the unit before you do anything else. It's like a Chariot Impact from Warhammer. The old Chariot Impact.
Nice. Well, this is great. We have a bunch of named characters in both of the codexes. We have a whole bunch of fun additional units.
The Bone Singer's coming back for Eldar with actual stats. I have 2 on order right now.
Nice, that's so cool. And what did you? And you said you're buying some stuff too, Hank, right? You're buying some Biovores. You got some on order.
Biovore on order. I'm gonna have to try to find or build again a Screamer Fax, which is one of the new Carnifexes they put back in the decks. One of the other things I want to make sure we mention about the Codex that changes the whole game style is that Synapse has changed. Synapse is back to being 12 inches standard, 18 for the Swarmlord, which changes your bubble.
Yeah.
And instinctual behavior has been completely changed. You no longer instinctual behavior now is simply if you're out of 24-inch range of a Synapse creature, you don't have to be within Synapse. You take a -1 for shooting at a target that's not the closest, or -2 to your charge roll if you charge something that's not the closest. That's the only penalty for instinctive behavior now. So it's really
they're just a little indecisive. They're not totally at the whim of their instincts. They're just indecisive as to what to do.
Yeah, so it's really actually been a real improvement in the Codex in playability.
But do you feel like it lost a little bit of kind of the flavor?
Considering I don't think so, because bugs aren't dumb.
Right.
Just watch Aliens. So I guess part of it though is we got, and I'm a long-term Tyranid player. I've been playing Tyranids since there were Tyranids.
Yeah.
And every edition seems to nerf the Tyranids more and more. And maybe that's necessary at times, but this one feels like a return to an army that's very playable now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And part of the problems has been Synapse. So when you lose all of your Synapse creatures, the game was over.
Right.
Now, even if you lose all your Synapse creatures, the game's not over.
Okay.
And that kind of returns the fun. So instead of just taking out, so it's like Necrons. You can't when you push them down 25%, they just go away.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
And I can see allowing the players to decide what the narrative actions of their army are. So if someone wanted to, they could actually use the old instinctive behavior thought process for their army, but for their units. But if you're playing matched play or open play, then it doesn't hinder you.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I like to see that. All right, great. Josh, is there anything you wanted to add about the Eldar Codex? Anything you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to using some of the psychic powers a little differently now. So I didn't mention that earlier. That I took Psychers on purpose, a couple of different spells. Executioner changed, which is really good. That Farseers can cast in Runes of Fate. You choose a unit and you do D3 mortal wounds if you cast it. And if a model is slain, then you do an additional D3 mortal wounds.
That's
so
cool.
It's good against infantry and stuff. Unless they have...
it's good to do like a D3 against any character you want, or 2D3 against a unit.
Correct. So then you can cast Smite and then Executioner. Yep. Or Mind War works as well, mortal wounds, and you can still pick out characters again. Some of the runes of battle for the Warlock changed. The Hemlock changed so it can't cast the buffs, only the debuffs for the enemies.
Oh.
So like it can't cast Conceal on itself, but it can Reveal. So it can always use the debuff the enemies. So that changed for the Hemlock. But the Warlock Conceal is not as good as it was in the Index, where it was a 3-inch bubble around the caster. Now you pick a unit like it was before. Quicken, which I didn't get to use, is going to be good because it allows a unit to move again and then shoot. So you can move them again during psychic phase if it was the movement phase. And then Protecting Jinx is always a good one for adding a save, +1 to your save or -1 to your enemies.
Cool.
Which I tried to do, but his shadow actually hurt me a couple times trying to cast. So that actually did hurt me during adding that +1 or -1 to my roll. So it worked out good for him. So
I think the Psychic has boosted because the Psychic bubble, the Shadow of the Warp, is now 18 inches, not 8.
That's cool.
So it's at 18 inches. So you can have, and it's not just Psychic bugs, it's any Synapse bug has Shadow of the Warp. So even if they can't cast Psychic powers, they can.
They're still on the wavelength.
Yeah. And I did get a chance to use my favorite new Psychic power, which is so Tyranid-ish.
Yeah.
It's Psychic Scream. And it's a Warp Charge 5, and it does D3 mortal wounds within 18 inches nearest an enemy. And if it's a Psyker and you can roll higher than their leadership, it permanently eliminates 1 Psychic power.
Which he did on my Hemlock.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So I lost the spell, his Runes of Battle spell.
He broke his brain.
Yeah.
He broke the pilot's brain.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic.
Which is so, if you read all the books and stuff, it's like the Psychers are bleeding from the ears because of the warp. So it's just, for me, it's really thematic. So
I love it.
It's just kind of fun.
I love it.
And it kept the other 3 powers that it had in the Index and added a couple of really neat ones, like Paroxysm, which is the one I used on your Knights, which makes that particular opponent's fight last.
The fight last. That's right. Yeah, that's so good. That's so cool. Well, that's fantastic, fellas. I really appreciate you both taking 5 hours out of your day to come and talk to me and play a game and be on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you really guys twist my arm to come play a game.
Play a game, feed me.
Well, great. Hopefully we can do it again.
All right.
Definitely.
Sounds good.
Hey everybody, check out Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40K podcast on iTunes and on Facebook. We are a 40K podcast based out of Western Massachusetts with contributors from other parts of New England. We talk hobby, tactics, news, and rumors, check out new releases, and talk about our local and regional 40K scene. We're looking for new contributors, so get in touch if you want to be a part. Check us out on iTunes and Facebook. That's Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40K podcast. Dallas-Fort Worth Nerd Night is a community organization that throws tabletop gaming parties for charity. We believe tabletop gamers are uniquely qualified to build better local communities because of the types of relationships built while gaming. If you'd like to learn more about how you can play games and help people with DFW Nerd Night, check out www.dfwnn.org. That's www.dfwnn.org. Thanks.
Welcome back, and once again, I'm still on the loaner microphone. I apologize to the listeners, but we have a special guest here today with us. It's Rob from the Honest Wargamer. Hi, Rob.
Hi, nice to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad we could finally get you on. I apologize for all the mix-ups and everything with my microphone and Skype and my furnace exploding. I am.
It's a tough time. It's a tough time.
Yes,
I understand. England's still made of castles and dragons, so we have all sorts of issues with technology.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So Rob, if you could, please, can you give us a little bit of your background for our listeners? Because I know. I would be very surprised if they didn't know who you are, but it's good to give a background ahead of time.
I mean, I don't have to shout. Do you know who I am? No. My name's Rob. My name's Rob. I've been playing Warhammer for about 5 years. I fell in love with it instantly, specifically the gaming side of it. But over time, I've come to love the painting and hobby aspect of it, and I've always loved the narrative. I've always been into like sci-fi and fantasy, so it was an easy sell. And I started out playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles. That was really fun. And then the world blew up, and I started playing the Horus Heresy and Age of Sigmar at the same time. Actually, I started playing the Horus Heresy before that because I knew something was coming. And then I did okay at a couple of tournaments, which was nice. I've got like a 10-year background in like social media marketing, so I happened to meet one of the new marketing execs for Games Workshop, and we were having a big long discussion about all the things that I thought Games Workshop should have been doing. And then eventually I got hired as a video editor, which is really exciting for me, the chance to make videos, because that's something I love doing. And then I started working at Games Workshop. I worked there for about a year, and I set up Warhammer Live as part of that process, and then fronted it, and then just generally helped be the face of Games Workshop for their first rocky year into the world of the internet. And then I've since left, and I've been hired to work for the Honest Wargamer, and I'm their show host, and that's where I'm at now. Now I'm on here talking to you guys, which is lovely. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that was a nice nice visit down memory lane. Now, when you were hired by Games Workshop, I think, well, once everybody's saw what y'all were doing over there, I think a lot of folks were happy to see. I think people kind of felt that Games Workshop had put themselves in front of the camera, like had put the gaming community in front of the camera instead of, that was the end of the corporate face, really. Now, come to find out, after a year of this, everyone is over there kind of is us, right? Like, we've really gotten to know a lot of the people over there through the video and all the work that you did, and it really does feel like the people who make the thing are very much fans like the rest of us. But it was good to see, someone who was a part of the community put in front of the camera like that to kind of welcome everyone in, and you did a great job with that.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you. So one of the big things that I had that I pushed for was when I was with Warhammer Live was to bring up as many people from as different elements of the different studios as possible to meet and talk to the audience, because people around the world obviously want to hear from these people. I suppose it's the difference between. Did you ever happen to get Warhammer Weekly when it was the weekly magazine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
And it sucked.
Yeah.
Right.
It did.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Because what that was just a catalog and an advert, like with no actual content. Like, I don't need you to tell me that there's a new battle tome or a codex coming out and like it's the coolest thing ever. What I really want to hear is the person that like created it talking about the why and why nots of some of the elements, because really there's intrigue and mystery in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me some sort of like, that gives me something meatier to like to review these products through when I do decide to purchase them, because it's a little bit it really does take the customer as a fool if you feel like you've got a product and you need to like then explain it to them and sell it to them, when really you could just kind of talk about its creation and its ethos, and then the customer is usually, especially in our community, smart enough to make their own decision. So that was some of the emphasis, and then just meet all of the creative people that weren't the suits. All those really talented creative people should be in front of the camera and talking about their art, because that's what it is. It's art, and they're great at it. So we should talk about it more.
Yeah, I can't agree more. So now you've got this new venture that is pretty exciting, and I'm very interested in the title of the show, because I feel like what's in a name, right? Like it really when someone picks a name, they pick it for a reason. So I'm not gonna assume. I'll let you tell me. What's the point of the new media outlet?
I've always been and am a part of the community and an actual member of people who play Warhammer and are involved in it as a hobby. Before I worked at Games Workshop wasn't part of that community. Mm-hmm. And in fact, in my experience, and for parts of my experience, was incredibly negative towards that community and its own customer base, which seemed moronic to me, and we're all pretty much agreed that that's the case.
Yeah.
Have I got time for a quick anecdote?
Oh, yeah. It's a podcast,
okay.
But I will make this as long as you want.
Okay. So I went to the LVO, and me and Dan worked incredibly hard that weekend, or that week. And we were setting up, but at the same time, some of our stuff wasn't arriving, so I decided to help the organisers of the event just set some tables up and do some stuff, which was really nice. And then as I was walking through the hall, someone, some customer or someone looked at me and went, "Do you work for Games Workshop?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "F you." And I was like,
Jesus!
And I was like, and then I walked up to him and I went, "That is really fair." I was like, "What did they do? What did they do to hurt you?" Yeah, and it was like this. I was like, "Let me tell you, I loved lizard men. Yeah, how dare they? How dare?" And he was like, "What are you saying?" I was like, "Because I haven't worked for the company since I was 18 years old. I got hired at the age of 32, and I worked with them between the ages of 32 and 33. I'm 34 now. I was already well into my life, owned my own businesses, done my own work, have worked many places. I'm not a corporate shill, not sold on the concept that my feelings and thoughts bow before a corporate's ideas and ideology, especially when the corporation has not proven himself to be an honest and truthful one."
Right.
So we ended up talking, and I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, dude." I was like, "I'm talking on the TV, and I'll only tell you what I think and what I think's real. So I don't know if that helps you. But definitely I agree with you about the things that have happened in the past. But as far as I know, I've been in meetings where they've told me that that's not their plans for the future. Otherwise, I wouldn't have agreed to do it, right?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Fair enough." And we ended up talking a few more times over the weekend, and we kind of really got on. And it was really good. And I as much as you might be like, "Oh, just attack someone for no reason working for a company," I got the guy's sentiment because I love Warhammer, as you guys do, which is why you do a podcast, I assume. Yeah. And anyone listening also loves Warhammer, which is why they're listening to this podcast, or they just might really like you guys, which is easy. That's it. That's also an easy sell for me. You seem nice. Right? Yeah. So I get that. And I get where that passion comes from, and it's not bad. It's just and it was fair. So leading up to that and going and working for Games Workshop, I was several times put in positions or in processes where I didn't feel happy about exactly what I thought was being said. Mm-hmm. And specifically, and in some cases, so if you worked really hard on developing and building your community will just buy your product. That's just a process that I've always believed in.
Yeah.
You don't need to trick your community, or you don't need to create a substandard product and then lie about its validity and people complaining are just whiners.
Yeah.
You just... Because criticism is completely valid. Like, one of my favorite movies ever of all time is Waterworld. Some people may say that it sucks, and I can probably see their point, but it doesn't matter to me because I really like it. And if someone went on a really long critique of exactly why it was rubbish, I would go, "Those are some really solid points. But Kevin Costner's pretty cool." And both opinions would be right. Well, my opinion would be my feelings, and his opinion, or probably his facts, would probably be more accurate. And so that's my point. With the Honest Wargamer, what I have is the opportunity to just be always honest about, and not have to put myself in any positions that I don't feel comfortable with. And also I get to have pride in the product that I develop. So I don't develop a product because it's poor, and I don't develop a product because I have to, and I don't develop a product because I have to meet a target. I develop a product because it's something that I think is worthwhile for the community that I feel a part of, and that's it.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit. Oh, sorry, Jason, do you have something to add?
No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, no.
Just nodding. What about Waterworld?
It's funny. I went to see Puddle's Pity Party last night. Puddles the clown is he's this opera singer turned like pop star almost, and he dresses like a clown. Anyways, throughout the whole thing, he had this like the show started out with. Like as people were sitting down, he was playing Kevin Costner's country music. We all thought it was just some kind of promotional thing. No, it went deep.
Sorry.
It went deep.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, he like all throughout the show, like he would he would reference Kevin Costner, and like the video screen would show clips. There was an entire song where he played Waterworld throughout, like clips from Waterworld throughout the whole thing. And then there was a message from Kevin Costner at the end, so it was great. You're not the only one who just still loves Kevin. Oh, he pulled a lady on stage and gave her one of those like winter hats that looks like a wolf, and he danced with her throughout
wow,
the song.
This is great.
Yeah. That was a great night. Anyways, what was I going? Oh yeah.
No idea. I have no idea
there
where
was
you're
no
going
point
with
to
this.
that. There was no point to that. It was just a tangent for everyone. There you go. But ding. So let's talk a little bit about where the show's going. Now, I know right now you've got a chat show kind of format. It feels very much like a podcast style format where you have a topical conversation about something. Do you have anything else to add in regards to format and where you're going in the future?
Yes, definitely. So, what I would like to do for a living is make videos.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing I enjoy doing, and I recognise that in making those decisions, that I've put myself on a course to not necessarily be, the richest person in the world, or whatever that may be, and supporting myself through the medium of video. And Warhammer is a great opportunity to do a bunch of stuff with video, and lots of it.
With apologies to Rob and the listeners, this section was lost. I think I hit a button or something. I don't know. Sorry. Advances in MBA programs where they specialize in things so that the person with that MBA can also have knowledge in the thing that they're managing. And I think that's a good trend. Not everybody does it. Not everybody embraces that. But especially when it comes to technology and stuff, you really should. A lot of the time, it's even if you don't internalize every detail, it's important to be able to relate to your employees, and they should feel confident that you know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, also related to your employee would be you need to have oh my god, just an awful person. I'm not going to bash anyone,
No.
but let me tell you.
So you're the Honest Wargamer, huh? Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. To give you guys some background, I've worked in the nightclub industry for over a decade, and effectively all that is people management and people communication.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you really are defined by your success. Either many people arrive at the venue, in which case you've done a good job and you're good at talking and communicating to people, or people don't, in which case you're bad at that. It's a really simple platform for testing your skill sets. Yeah, that's it. And I've seen people who are good at it and people are bad at it. And like I say, I think 10 years experience is enough to maybe start to give some quotes as to whether or not, or some sort of, I think I can judge a person a little bit on their ability to talk. Just woeful. But let's move on, because I'm just bashing now. I'm bashing for no reason.
What do you have in mind for the upcoming, you want to do video? Are you thinking about continuing the chat show thing, or are you guys going to do some video battle reports, anything like that?
So the world's my oyster, right?
Yeah.
But this is where so battle reports is a no.
Yeah. There's a
Just
lot of
flat
that.
out.
There's a lot of that out there, right?
Absolutely, and also no hobby content because there's also a lot of that out there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in varying degrees of quality, but there is content out there.
Well, and
really,
I think
what there isn't.
The success,
Oh,
the really successful stuff is also kind of the paint, like hobby wall iHobby type thing, where it's like an instructor led thing. That's the real value when it comes to the hobby content.
Yeah, like infotainment.
Yeah,
like this is something that I agree. But really, when it comes to gaming, so gaming is a really interesting subject and was my main focus while working at Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Because it was how do we talk about gaming through the format of video, and actually, so it's really telling that you have an author as the head of like personal communication for advertising or whatever it is. At the head of the people, he's head of like the community website and the TV team and some other stuff, and it's very telling that you see lots of the communication coming out from Games Workshop through articles on the community site, because that makes sense because it's an author, right? Yeah, it's like words are the medium through which people learn, and I'm like not according to all, not even current marketing trends that have existed for like a decade now. It's like, kids and young people, or even myself, like I've got such a short attention span now because of my phone.
Well, I'm 3 paragraphs in and I'm spent.
Exactly. Those are my thoughts, right? I love reading, and that's not exactly true, but what I'd like to explore through video is ways to communicate with people about our hobby, and also if it requires to represent our hobby. Now, that's something I was already given a task of doing for the company, and it's not something I particularly want to do, but if I have to do it because it helps our community achieve a wider scope. Like it's cool that League of Legends have these like huge auditoriums of people clapping clappers, and they have teams, and and Magic the Gathering has this Pro Tour and stuff. That's awesome. They have a great community and something to be excited about and thrilled by.
Yeah.
And I'd like to encourage and grow that and use video as my like way of exploring that process.
That's really good. And I feel you do something you love, but at the same time, in order to do that thing, you need other people to do that thing too. And you don't need to completely buy into the concept of altruism to do a thing for others. It's also very much self-preserving too, because without the community, we don't have the hobby for ourselves. So that's
exactly
that's why I run events. That's why we do that's why we do the podcast. It's all about contributing in whatever way we can. So I definitely feel that.
Yeah, and I think there are loads of ways, especially with gaming. There's loads of assumed knowledge in gaming, and gaming has had like a really bad rep, and gaming has had some very loud and very vocal people talking through the hobby and part of the hobby, but sometimes without regards. So if you're a competitive gamer, the intent is that you want to win. If you're one of the good competitive gamers, you want to keep winning and people to know that you're a good gamer, and that might be someone's purpose, right?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely okay, but that doesn't key in with everyone's drivers, and it definitely doesn't key in with the drivers of like the community of like how do we make gaming fairer, how do we make gaming more fun, how do we make gaming more competitive yet allow more people to enter into the hobby.
Yeah, it needs to be accessible.
Exactly, but also, so this is an interesting subject. So let's, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a bit rough, but because I'm making this up off on the fly in my head. But if you were to rate wargaming as a community for its friendliness and openness, where would you put it? 1 to 10. And then as a counterpoint, if you ever played League of Legends.
So globally, Jason, why don't you take this?
Okay. Wow. I'm not sure about League of Legends because I'm not familiar with that game,
I've heard that League of Legends can be rough, but you get banned really quickly. But even so, like I have a buddy who saves up his worst insults because he knows he's going to be banned, or he knows he's going to be at work for 48 hours straight, and he's like, okay, I'm saving this up for the biggest jerk that I'm going to meet today, and I can't wait. So it's part of the game is saving up his insults.
Right.
Seriously?
Okay.
Yes! He times his insults so that he gets banned when he can afford to.
Well, most importantly, Jason, it's the biggest game in the world. More people play that game than live in France. More people watch the final of the League of Legends World Series than watch the NBA final. It's World Series or whatever it might be. It's huge.
Wow. Yeah, I really don't video game anymore. That I stopped.
Me either. And that's. But my point is that the even the knowledge from you guys without really having played the game, and I have played the game a bit, enough. It has in part huge toxic parts of its community are toxic, but like not huge. That's not true at all. Probably like 5% are just vocal and just awful.
Loud. And it's the same thing with mini wargaming. Like there are some serious monsters out there, but it's I think a lot of it. What can you do about it? You can't. The only thing you can do about it is to set an example. Really, I mean, okay. So every once in a while online, I'll tear into these people because it feels good. But at the end of the day, it's about setting the example and just trying to make it better from a personal perspective.
Which I agree with, right? But loads. But I think we should encourage these people.
Oh yeah.
I don't think. Right. So our hobby is so mature and friendly. It's so good. Everyone is so nice. Everyone is like, you go to a tournament and then someone will swear and you'll be like, oh, careful, there might be kids around, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's a really good point. Yeah, I know we're here to have fun, and I'm like, let's tear it up. Let's have an adventure. Yeah. Right, let's get big. Let's cause fun. Let's have teams, and let's have teams hate each other. Yeah, let's have the New York team hate I don't want to embarrass myself by picking another place in America.
The New York Yankees.
Right? No, but let's have the New York Warhammer team. Yeah. Hate the London Warhammer team. Let's have them hate each other. Let's let that be a rivalry, because when that's a rivalry, I get to pick a side. When I get to pick a side, I get to be invested. I get to enjoy myself. I don't get to be like, oh, another really friendly guy won. That's really nice. Yeah, I'm very happy for that person. I mean, it's a shame he put up that other friendly guy. I'm like, he crushed him. That's good. I hate that guy. That guy's a jerk. Yeah. I'm like, what, the jerk one? No, I am not happy about this.
So you're wanting to add in heals and heroes, basically.
No, I'm not wanting to add it in. I'm saying let's get the culture to a place where it's just the same as every other culture. Because when you're at the level where it's at every other culture, you get those people just by happenstance. Yeah. Right. That's just the universe. It exists. I'm sure it exists in chess. Like, in fact, I know it does, because I was reading about some guy who freaked some dude out. I don't know. I just think that there's loads to explore. And there's loads to do. I was talking to someone from Sweden, Norway yesterday actually, and he was saying that some of the stuff that we do on the Honest Wargamer is a bit. He's like, you're not worried that you're going to put some people off by you're a little bit crass sometimes and a little cavalier.
It's in the title.
And I was, and I was like, yeah, it's in the title, yeah, definitely. And I was like, maybe we will, but also there'll be a bunch of people who felt very sidelined by everyone being very adult all the time. And I think you should. I try and be as nice a gamer as I can on the tabletop. I always give people 6 dice when I play a game, so they can have them for rerolls and use them for whatever they want to use them for. Yeah, I do that all the time because I think it balances out. It's fair. If you get that really sucky thing where you fail a mystical check, or you got an ability that works on a 2+, I'm just like, reroll it. There's a dice, you choose. People always use it for damage though. I've seen it. People get so hungry for the reroll damage roll.
Oh yeah, but it's rough, isn't it? I mean, I use for my command points in 40k. I use the reroll stratagem for damage all the time. It's just because it's that one dice, right? It's like, Just that one dice matters so much.
It matters so much. So, yeah, I think be a good gamer, be a fair gamer, be a nice gamer, but let's cause some fun. Like, let's go out there and let's make it a little bit edgy, because I don't like it when, there are people out there like, I'm so excited about seeing Star Wars. And I'm like, do you know what? Do you know how in Attack of the Clones they had a clone army? It's basically exactly the same as the Gathering Storm. Exactly the same storyline. Why don't you like Warhammer? This is Warhammer 40,000. Yeah, right? And people go, what? What? No, what? Nerds? What? Models? I'm like, don't be like that. It's awesome. It's really cool. Yeah? And if I can draw those parallels, it will start to break down those walls, I hope. Which really the parent company should be doing, but they don't have they've got no courage, so that won't happen.
That's too bad.
That's fine though.
Well, here's to hoping that you can, the Honest Wargamer can help everyone embrace the fun, embrace the crass, because crass is fun.
Well, but it does, yeah. I don't know, not intentionally. There's no intent, if that makes sense. I don't wake up in the morning and think I'm going to offend someone today. I just feel how I feel and say what I feel.
Right.
It's
just pretty byproduct of being awake.
Yeah, that's it. And I have opinions that I formed, but I don't mind being challenged at all. If there's something I've said and people are like, I don't agree with that, or I think that because this is, so we have people on the show when we do a rundown, which is what we do, and they're like, I think this thing's good. I'm like, awesome. I don't. There we go.
Well, that's the line. The line is your tolerance for being challenged. If you have a high tolerance for being challenged, then you don't have to don the yellow wig of American politics, and you can actually have decent content, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. So the rundowns are a really good system for looking at how exactly to use a single thing.
Yeah.
And I think, but what's nice is the reason we haven't really put out big schedules, or this is definitely when we're doing something or anything yet. It's because I'm still in the process of R&D, and exactly what. So I know the rundowns are a good format. That I'm very sold on those. I think that's a good idea. And I think the What Is series, which is that's my attempt to bring in new people, or kind of just jazzercise the hobby up so people can just be like, okay, I'm into that. That's fun. That's interesting. That's different. I hadn't thought about it like that. Did you see the Slanuel Jackson one that we did?
No.
Okay, so awesome. we did. So do you know? So in Age of Sigmar, you can have a thing called a Bastiladon that can have it can produce snakes every turn and do mortal wounds.
Yeah, I caught the end. I caught the end of that one, and I'm like,
right.
Yeah, all of my Bastiladons have giant lasers on their backs, and that's not going to change. But please continue.
So you can make them. So command ability from a Slan allows units with a Seraphon keyword to fly. And then we were like, whoa, are you talking about flying snakes? Right? As soon as that happened, one of the guys in the chat was like, do you mean Slanuel Jackson? He don't like no snakes on his plane. And I was like, sold. And then there's a guy called John Scrivens, who's just a wonderful, talented artist. And John does he listens to the show and he uses it for inspiration. He just drew up a picture of Slanuel Jackson. So it's just Samuel Jackson as a Slan on his little pedestal. And then we included that in the little What Is video. So when people started, and the background also is also the Seraphon, so the Slan, all the other lizards are dead apart from the Seraphon, and he remembers them, and that's how they exist in the universe. Brilliant piece of story there. But so I was like, well, this keys in. I was like, do you remember the TV show Dinosaurs? Right? It's like, yeah, it's like that. You remember dinosaurs, it exists. You remember these, they exist. That's how it works, right? Really easy and really translatable, which is fun. and it's fun to do, and it's exciting, and it's interesting. And then I think it gives people I want someone on a tabletop somewhere in the world, in America or Germany or Australia. I want someone to fly a bunch of Bastillodons forward, and they've painted up their slan, and he's brown, and he's happy, and he's like, I don't want no snakes on my table, and he's flying them across the board, and it's hilarious. And why can't you be having that sort of fun? Right? It's like, let's turn everyone into an orc player, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Well, I am an orc player, and I have a Seraphon army, and I own 2 Bastillodons, so this will happen. They're just gonna shoot giant lasers instead, so that's fine.
So, we were talking about being crass.
Yeah.
So what happened was John did the original picture and he sent it to me, and I showed it to my girlfriend. Now my girlfriend has got dual heritage, and so she's blackish but not fully black, not all the way. Anyway, so me and her were talking, and she's like, "That's too black, Rob." She's like, "Black people aren't actually black; they're brown." And I was like, "That's a really good point." So I sent it back to John. And then John brought it back, and it was browner. And I was like, "Is this okay?" She went, "Yeah." I went, "Cool. All right, put that up." But had I put up the original one, someone said, that's too black, I'd have been like, "That's a really good point. I've learned a lesson there. Thank you."
Yes, thank your girlfriend for that one.
Well, but what's nice is she knows that there's no malice in my heart, and there's nothing but love for everything. So it was really nice that she did that. And then I found out that Asterix and Obelisk has an incredibly, and also Dragon Ball Z. There's some very bad pictorial images.
It's all very
which I did
old
not know.
Stuff. Yeah, it's all very old, very interesting kind of depictions. It's crazy.
Yeah, because I remember being in a marketing meeting while I was at Games Workshop, and they were talking about some stuff they were going to do in the future. And this was quite recently before I left, and they were like, "Well, what are the things you think we should be doing?" And I was like, "Well, what are you guys doing about representation of minorities and of other genders in the product line in the future?" And actually, I went and talked to Chris about it, because Chris Peach, who's now works for Warhammer TV, who's in charge of the army painters, and me and Chris talked about it. And Chris was like, "Well, actually, Rob, if you look on the Cadian box and some of the other boxes that we've redone recently, we've started to change some of the paint jobs that we've put on some of the models. So as to give people, look, there's a diversity in the future. There's diversity that we all accept." And I was like, "That's awesome. That's cool." So there are people trying and thinking about those sorts of things as well. So that's interesting. I think.
And it's good that they can, at least the painters have this low hanging fruit where it doesn't require any level of marketing maybe it does take time to paint miniatures, but it's nothing compared to developing a whole new range of models. But it's something they can do now to show that, which is good.
Yeah, but do you think it's a big deal? I'm interested in this. In fantasy, all fantasy in the world, do you think that there's much diversification, or do you not think? I'm just interested. I know maybe this isn't on subject, but
oh no, it's totally fine. In fact,
that's my question.
So, I think that it swings. I think it's all about who the creators are and who who ingests the content. And for years, the answer to the answer to both of those things was men. Mostly Caucasian men, right? And our society is to the point where people don't really have to do anything. Yes, we have to work, but in Western culture, we have a lot of time on our hands. And I think things like Game of Thrones, and a lot of the superhero stuff has shown that women very much have an appetite for some of this stuff. And it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, because it's awesome. But it is a surprise to some of us, because for so many years, it was a male-dominated kind of society. So, you go to conventions and you see women there and you see people dressing up and all of that. And there's a market for representation. It's not just a question of, you have to represent in order to be legitimate, you have to represent because it's the right thing to do, which is nice. I appreciate that, but it's also the right thing to do for your bottom line, because you have a whole group of people that you can buy your stuff. So I mean, you don't want to set money on fire, but at the same time, many men want to see female miniatures. Women want to see female miniatures. So there's no reason not to phase it in. That's my thought.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Like, I think it's a really interesting subject though that like we're all having to have.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to have the conversation. I mean, a lot of these people that have come out and posted some very disgusting videos on the topic. At the same time, you say, they're facilitating the conversation, the actual conversation as well. So I guess there's something to be said for that.
Interesting, isn't it? I don't really know what the answer is. I'm smart enough to know that I'm too stupid to work it out, but someone smarter than me will work it out.
It kind of ties into what you were talking about before, from a different perspective of, having the audacity to be crass and to say your mind. Now, other people may not agree with what you're saying, but it does.
FYI, I don't think I'm being crass.
That was how you were kind of describing it. So I apologize if I wasn't casting aspersions.
Yeah, I don't think I am. But it was a young man called Alex from Norway, actually, and he's lovely. But I would definitely say he's more of a conservative than I. And it was him. He was like, "Do you not feel that you could tone it down, and then you would have a more palatable message generally?" And I was just like, "Yeah, but then I wouldn't be me."
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm being crass. I just think I'm being me, and I think I could be worse, but I don't think that would be. I don't want to be. I'm just me, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, and I think the point is, it's okay to be wrong, or it's okay to put an opinion out there and have it challenged, as long as you're willing to accept that the challenge is valid, but only when it is valid, right? Risk that risk, at least the risk of saying something will bring out truth one way or the other, whether you're right or wrong. So it's good.
Probably wrong though.
Awesome. So you're still working on the schedule, right? But let the listeners know where they can find you, and maybe they can sign up and get the notifications when y'all go live. And once the schedule starts fitting itself in, everybody can say, "Well, I was there at the beginning. I was one of the original subscribers."
Oh, awesome! Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. It's just the Honest Wargamer, and that's just pretty much where we'll do like information out about and we do the show live on Twitch. So that's Honest Wargamer on Twitch. You can watch videos back on YouTube, and sometimes we'll do stuff for other companies and other shows. And I'll go to events and I'll make some videos before or after those events. You can find us on Facebook and Twitch. So you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Which is where we'll do all the notifications that stuff has gone up, which is really easy. And then we do the show live on Twitch most of the time. But we'll also do content offline and that go on YouTube if you'd like to watch it, which is nice. And then also if you're doing long drives like you do in America, then there's a podcast and it's on SoundCloud and it's on iTunes. It's just The Honest Wargamer. Search it in any of those mediums and it's just The Honest Wargamer, and it's easy to find. And then we have a Patreon. If you like what we do and you'd like to help us out, which is great, because everything we make is free. So there's no paywalls, there's no hidden content, there's no like exclusive subscriber stuff. It's just like everything is free. But that would mean that you need to help us out and support us. You don't need to, but it would be nice if you could. And that's on our Patreon, which is again is just The Honest Wargamer. And basically, if you go on any one of the sites, you should be able to click all the other sites all at the same time. So easy.
Excellent. That's awesome. That's awesome, Rob.
So, and if you have any ideas, by the way, for like video stuff that we could make, because you're like, I've always wanted to see this and this, then drop us a message because I'm interested to hear it, right?
Okay.
And any opinions you have as well, because like I'm not the smartest man in the room, but I might be able to be a collection of smarter people telling me stuff and then tell that out to other people.
Right.
So that would be cool.
Awesome. Though this sounds great. It sounds like a good format. I guess I might have some suggestions, but I want to watch you. I don't want to watch your videos for a little bit longer. I think I want to make sure that my suggestions are legit for the format that you're going for. But like for example, like you know what people don't do? They don't do like explaining rules. Just like not a battle report, but just one phase or one instance in a video.
Good.
Like you can talk about it, but it's hard to visualize. That's definitely something that video can help with, where you're like, okay, this is how you use this combo, or this is how you use this rule. It's very confusing. Like I could probably watch 100 video, or I could probably listen to 100 different examples in audio of how Pylon works in Age of Sigmar, and I would still be like, you're insane. That does not make sense.
Do you want to, so my Pylon video, which is something I'm currently working on, so I'm glad that's what you brought up.
Oh.
Like, is let me get to the document, so I'm currently doing a video for each phase and stuff to think about and stuff to digest and information, things you can and can't do.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is that it's just phenomenal. I said to myself, I was like, I'm going to get all 6 of them done because I have like 6 to 8 on that kind of subject. Like some of them's like, how do I make a battle forged army? Because honestly, that is confusing for some people, right?
Yeah.
And I want that to be something that makes sense, is quick and informative, and you can understand. But some of them go from like, this is how you pile in, to these are all the things to think about when you're piling in, and actually these are the ways you can manipulate it. It's probably charging and the piling phase are probably the 2 strongest phases in the game of Age of Sigmar and in 40k. It's interesting that people talk about 40k and Age of Sigmar like they're different, and they're exactly the same. Yeah, and micromanagement skills from playing Age of Sigmar means that you're just better at 40k than everyone else who you play.
Yeah,
like I played a couple of 40k guys, and I've just done this, and they've gone, "What did you just do? You've blown my mind."
Yeah, like some of the pile-in stuff. I find Pylon a little bit easier in 40k just because of the 2 inches rather than the 1 inch makes it a lot easier, but it's still super confusing. And I think for the normal person, and it's good to hear that's kind of the kind of thing you're doing, because that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of when you're talking about your format. So I think you're right on track, Rob. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, and we're doing I'm currently, while I'm on the phone to you, I'm cutting out assets so that I can make my scenario videos, and that's, these are the scenarios, these are things to think about, and I've asked quite a few like community gamers, people who've had success at these scenarios, just be like, because it's always situational. I spent 3.5 hours talking it through the other day with my friend Nathan. On exactly what to put into these videos, and I was like, it's always situational. It depends on the army you play, the situation you're in, and a bunch of different stuff. So actually, what I've gone back to redress that again, and I've gone, right, so these are the processes that we're going to go through generally, and these are the kind of like your general tips and things. But actually, if you play Stormcast, we've got this person who plays Stormcast, and they've given me, this is what they would do in that scenario all the time. And then this is a person who plays Fire Slayers, and this is a person who plays Death, and this is a person who plays Iron Jaws. So these are what the people have said when they play that. So then you've got some sort of indication of what a charging army would do on that scenario, and what a teleporting army would do on that scenario. And then once that happens, you go, okay, it's not going to prep me for every situation in the world, because they're always going to be different. There's infinite permutations, but not infinite, but probably a lot. So, that will help as best as it can. And that's, and we're just going to put that out for free. It's like hours and hours and hours of work. But I think eventually people will recognize that what we're trying to do is just globally help everyone play better. And if people want to, and I'll put a thing up, if people want to download it and play it at their events, this is Star Strike's scenario. Yeah. This is how you deploy. These are things to think about.
Right.
You played that at the start of a tournament. Well, we're playing this scenario now. You played that at the start, then everyone would be a little better informed. And that person whose first event it is that's ever played would go, okay, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. And they'd be able to play a better game straight off the bat.
Well, how great would it be if you could open up the Best Coast Pairings app and click on a link for the mission that you're playing and see a video of Rob and his buddies showing you how the mission is played.
Oh, that's cool. I'll talk to those guys.
Yeah, that would be super sweet. Well, anyways, Rob, thank you so much. Keep it 100. I mean, I think that's really what we're looking for. Keeping it 100 and keeping it honest. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you have coming out. And maybe we'll talk. You're welcome to come on and talk about anything you have coming up in the future.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day.
Have a nice day.
This is Rob Sanders, and you're listening to the Masters of the Forge, where the world of 40k comes to life on your tabletop.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, Timbo. Thank you so much for lending just a level of just authenticity that we just never have. So we really appreciate that. Just not capable of achieving it without you. So thank you.
You know what? Thank you for having me. This is an average night for me. I'm drinking a Narragansett and I'm ranting about two topics that, you wouldn't think go together, but actually do.
Awesome. I wanted to remind everyone, please check out the Nova Fall Charity Auction. It's their first off-season auction. It's a, what is it, Jason?
What do you mean? It's an auction? That's what?
No.
And they're Nova. What?
The army.
What army are they doing this year?
I don't know. It's in my brain. I bid on it. I should know. Death Watch. It's a Death Watch army.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Cool.
Death Watch. I remember that.
Super awesome, and they look real nice. Dozens of painters have contributed to it, but it looks, as the Nova Open charities go, it's obviously a uniform and beautiful army. There are also a few single models out there. I bid on a couple of them. They're really pretty. I hope I don't win one of those because then I have to build an army around it. That would be a problem. Also, don't forget, January 13th and 14th, we have the Golden Sprue Cup. Please pre-register. The early deadline is over, but I'm extending it because I want to do some promotion before I end it. But $40 gets you 2 wonderful days of gaming. First day is competitive. Second day is the finals and narrative gaming, friendly gaming. So check that out. Huzzah to the tipper.
That's where I'll be.
Sweet. Yeah, if you want to see some gross bugs, you should. Actually, they're beautiful. I think the wings are beautiful. I really do.
Thank you.
It's very pretty.
I can teach anyone how to do it. It's not hard.
How great, dude! We should do a session at Golden Sprue Con. Okay, who wants to stick wings on? Who wants to stick wings on your Tyranids?
They will. That's pretty niche.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how many people would sign up for that.
You don't get that anywhere else, but here though.
Oh, it's true. It's true. All right, great. So next week is insert topic here. But until then.
Seamless.
Yeah, beautiful. Play the game the way you want to.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Podod of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
Phenomena.
I'm eating nuts.
Raising again.
I'm eating nuts. I'm opening the package. It's hard. It's hard to get in the package. This is the hardest package I've ever seen.
It's tough stuff.
There we go.
Keep singing. It's going
in a certain sense. Yeah, put it all in there.
It's going in. Ready.
Adam, I was just telling Jason I had a total Homer Simpson moment before, where I went to the fridge to grab a bottle of water, and my hand just instinctively grabbed a beer instead. So.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.